the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Well, no, it's not. I guess this is though. This is going to be the Daily Gun Show. It's just starting way early today. We're watching the end of the 2A Patch Batch 2019. So the inaugural run of the campaign to get some patches made for 12 different pro 2A organizations, platforms, channels, entities, and additionally, an effort in collaboration and some initial experience with fundraising and with having logo products for projects. A lot of the projects that are involved haven't had the opportunity to work with logo merchandise before. So in a bunch of different ways, and it's an experiment. And I think a bunch of different ways, it's also been a successful experiment. We're doing this with the goal of figuring out some kind of structure or form to it so we can repeat the concept and bring more attention to worthy Second Amendment organizations out there, and bring more awareness to the concept of crowdfunding, which is pretty powerful and allows grassroots organizations with nuanced messages to become funded and get their word out there. So with that, got a couple of people from the project joining us already. We've got a couple hours before it actually ends, so hopefully some others will join in with us. We've got an audience out there. We're simulcasting this on gunchannels.com, community we built a couple, almost 6 years ago now, and we'll be watching the comments. Everything we do is an exercise in new media, so we encourage people to use the text chats that are available to us here. More than one of us might go live on Instagram while we're together. And we've got a couple of guys, like I say, joining in from the patch batch. We got Clover jumping in from Texas. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for the invite.
All right, and then we got Mike jumping in from GunTube from South Carolina. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
And like I said, we've got, well, I guess what I'm representing Every Second Matters, even though Every Second Matters is just an awareness campaign. We've got, I guess, 9 others out there who might be joining us tonight. We've got Tony Simon up in New Jersey with the 2A for Everyone project.
You didn't pronounce it right.
What did I pronounce wrong?
New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. We've got, trying to go east to west. So I guess Night Strike, or excuse me, GunTube. And then we've got coming east. Oh, I'm guessing Florida Carry would be in the list there down in Florida. So that's the state level gun rights organization working for open carry in Florida, but as well as working on lawsuits and education and awareness. We've got, who's here? Huh?
Oh, it was my audio when I was kicking on the YouTube side. Sorry.
I'm going to cheat by looking at the patches. That'll help me out. So then I guess next would probably be Gear Report. Is he in North Carolina?
I believe so, yeah.
Gear-report.com, a platform for gear reviews, something like the Consumer Reports magazine back in the day, non-biased, well-done reviews of guns and gear, and it's a platform, so it's a place where people who are creating content can write and get something in return for their efforts. And then people that are looking for valid reviews don't have to necessarily go through the hassle or the, I guess, the restrictions or the have to settle for looking for things on the platforms. Some of the platforms are okay for archiving, but some of them that can be pretty tedious.
Well, I mean, with YouTube, you got to go in and you got to do a search for that thing, and then, you know, it pulls up who knows what kind of goofy stuff it pulls up when you're searching for whatever item, if the video's even there.
The extraneous stuff.
And then that video, you're going to sit through and watch that video, and the video may not answer the questions that you have, and then may not be informative for what you're looking for. Cool thing about Gear Report is the format. A lot of times, I say a lot of times, the format that they use over there. It's laid out in such a way that you know, and we can tie in our videos and do other things, but the format of the text is laid out in such a way. If you go and you're just looking for specification or the field testing or the final thoughts, even, you know what I'm saying? You can just scroll down the page, read that, and you're done. You don't have to sit through a whole video waiting for somebody to say one specific thing you're looking for. So, yeah, it's just a different way of doing things.
Well, there's lots of reasons why I think it's a neat concept, and I'm all about the creation of content from the individual for, again, multiple reasons. And the Gear Report platform, is definitely built with that in mind, and not trying to, again, duplicate something that already existed or trying to do a different version of some existing thing. Instead, the Gear Report's crew are doing a new take on sort of the same old uh, thing that people used to do individually on their, like, say, platforms. Then we got GunTube, Pro 2A hosting platform, guntube.org, and that'll be their first run of patches. We got the GunStreamer, another pro gun video hosting platform out of Utah, and that'll be their second run of patches. That design is still to be announced. Speaking of to be announced, we've got Clover in the chat, and his patch will be to be announced, but he's a podcaster and content creator and activist. We've got Yuta, who's an author, does, I would say, activism. He's definitely called on to speak and to write for lots of different venues, and he's been active as to a media for sure, but I would say as an activist as well. For the last couple of years, he's out of Texas. Then we got Never Enough Ammo and Yankee Marshall, two big YouTube channels that have been chatting with me and others for literally 6 years, pretty much weekly or more. And, activists and doing a lot to bring people to the awareness that the neat, fun things that they experience on YouTube are there because of the rights protected by the Second Amendment, and aren't necessarily insured by any, anything. It requires our vigilance. So they've done a lot for that awareness. Then we got the 2A Fund, which is Artisan Tony's new project out of Chattanooga. And Tony's been around for a long time and done multiple projects at various scales, large and small, and evolved his activism and his collaboration. I don't know if he'd call it that, but pretty much all of his projects have been centered on people working together, or at least being aware of each other, and coming together either to sign the crickets or to work towards changing laws or coming up with ideas. In this case, funding projects that are worthy with an alternative to a Patreon or a fundraising platform like we're using with Indiegogo, or even just the YouTube options. So that's a individual effort towards offering an option to fund directly valid 2A organizations, and at the same time offer them some awareness and some help with reach. So that's the people involved, and where we take it next. We've been chatting about it for quite a bit over the last few days. It's kind of late to do much more than just kind of watch the clock tick, especially with the Instagram issue.
It is, and assuming people's Instagram is wherever they're at is working, and you can get it done. I mean, if there's still time left on this, which is cool.
It says 3 hours, but I suspect in a couple of minutes it's going to flip to 2 hours, and then it'll end at midnight my time.
Well, still, there's time to jump over there and get in on it with us if you're able to, and regardless, there's still time to get on Instagram, assuming that it's working properly for you, and potentially share. So yeah, let's talk about that. I don't mind talking about that for a minute here. Let's talk first that once you once you're in the into the project here with us, I hate to say once you buy into it, because really you're participating in this project with us, which is pretty awesome. So once you're in the project with us, there's a couple of cool things that you've got a shot at getting, and one of those is you'll have a chance, or potentially even multiple chances, depending on which level you support the project. You've got a chance at the patch set, at the Mill Team 6 patch set from We Like Shooting. They were generous enough to donate that patch set to the project, so we're going to use that as a thank you for.
And that's a set of like I think
anybody.
12, right? And they're like
I
worth
think so.
at least 12.
They have
$120. It might be 16 even. It's
yeah. For those not familiar, yeah, we're not really sure on that. each of their each batch that they do has two patches. And just kind of make everybody sort of familiar with that. They've got it all has to do with fast food joints, basically. And they'll do like the Wendy's girl or Ronald McDonald or something like that, with a firearm, that sort of thing. And then they'll do a matching patch to that is more of a realistic interpretation of um, that particular fast food character or mascot, or I don't even know what you would call that. So yeah, I mean each of their releases has two patches, so I would assume that it would be all 12. So yeah, you'll be basically you'll have an entry to potentially get that set, which is really awesome. Retail on that's about $120, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not chump change. If you buy into or join in the project at the $50 level, you could potentially get win a patch set that's worth over twice, nearly three times that. So pretty good deal. And then Artisan Tony through the 2A fund is going to pick a couple of people that jump into this project with us and actually refund their support pledge up to $100, I think. Didn't that what he said, G? So potentially two sets will be completely refunded to somebody.
I don't want to say I know for certain, so I don't know. But yeah, he was going to refund a couple. I don't know what the details.
Yeah, I think he said a couple, and I think he said it would depend on.
But it sounded like he wanted to clarify that they had bought a perk is all. He would just want to make sure somebody someone puts in a couple of bucks to just help with the campaign. He wanted to make sure that the people do back in with a perk.
Yeah, he's refunding the actual perk. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the potential for that if you get involved and join the effort with us over there on Indiegogo. And then for those out there that heck maybe you've already joined us on the project over there, and you're thinking I want a shot at an extra set of patches for free, or you're out there and maybe you're in a situation where you can't monetarily support the project. You can jump over on my Instagram page at CloverTac, or jump over on the Ghost Tactical Instagram page. And I believe his is at Ghost Tactical, but the first O is actually a 0, if I'm not mistaken on his. And jump on either one of those and look for the free patch post there. And it's got the rules, pretty simple. You can share that, hashtag it with 2A Patch Batch 2019, tag a couple of friends, repost that, and there's not a whole lot of people. I need to try to jump over there, assuming Instagram's working correctly. I need to try to jump over there and see how many people have reposted that. But right now, your odds are pretty super good at potentially winning a free set of patches through that. Probably, I would say 1 in 20 or 1 in 25 or something like that at this point. It's definitely not one out of several hundred or anything. So get over there, share that on Instagram. We still got some time left. So a lot of things we can do in the next couple of hours. And I'm sorry I took up a bunch of time on the mic there, G.
No, that's what it's all about. We got 3 hours. But I've been trying to get my Instagram to work. Mine will see other people's stuff. I can't post yet, though.
Yeah, I haven't tried to. Well, I did. I did comment on one. I haven't tried posting anything over there, though. So I may have to do that here in a minute. Just do a test run.
Looks like I did an update and it changed Instagram a little bit, but that didn't help nothing. Still won't do anything. Well, we got a lot of dead air here now.
Yeah, we did. I expected somebody to jump in. Mike over there's dropping the ball. It's his turn. He needs to talk a little bit.
What would you like me to talk about? Nothing?
Honestly, I don't know. You know,
If
it's
you-
weird.
if you
You know,
don't- If
you're
you
used to
don't
the Jerry.
know,
You're used to the Jerry Lewis telethon with all the phones ringing in the background. So I think G-Webs needs to find that telephone ringing soundtrack and play it while we're on a loop while we're talking here. And at least it sounds like it's busy, right?
it sounds like it's busy, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But you can entertain us if nothing else with some impressions or something. That's usually what they do on the telethon stuff. They have entertainers and stuff. So won't do you a lot of good to try to make balloon animals because doesn't look like you have the camera on there. But I actually haven't. I haven't been over there and looked at the. I haven't looked at the project today with everything I've been doing and Instagram and Facebook being down and all of that. But yeah, we've jumped 18 backers. Good gravy, 126%. That's cool since I looked last. So the word's getting out. I think the last minute people are definitely starting to jump on board. But I think with the, we look at this, and what's encouraging to me with this, and G-Webs, I know you've run quite a few of these different, quite a few different campaigns and whatnot, and I'd like to get your thoughts, doing them in the past and all that. This is the only one that I've really followed closely and been super heavily involved in. Obviously, I've shared other people's stuff and things like that. But what I find amazing, and it'd be really nice to hear the feedback. So, what do you do it in the side chat after, throw it in the comment down below here, or even email one of us or something like that. What I would really like to hear is without with the without the what am I saying? Without the risk of making anybody upset, I guess, as to why. It'd be interesting to hear why. Why did you support this? What merits did you see in this 2A patch batch project? If you have supported it, was it the people involved? Was it the fact that you're involved in something that's really not a monetary gain for anybody? This is getting patches and advertisement out there. So it's strictly for the patches because the patches are one heck of a super cool deal. Was it maybe you come in late? Maybe you jump in because of the potential for some of these extra perks in these drawings we're doing. Maybe you don't give to the NRA. Maybe you haven't decided to give to GOA or anybody else, and you thought, well, this is a good utilization of the money that I would be putting toward that. This is sort of going toward more direct efforts. It'd be interesting to get some of that feedback from everybody out there, that some of those 260 backers, as to why, because that really helps the learning process here a lot. When we get feedback from you, then future projects, we can keep those sorts of things in mind, that those people out there uh, that we can rely on to come on board with these projects and join us and help us out with these projects. We know what you guys are looking for. We know the types of things that you guys are looking for. But also, what's encouraging, I mean, you see over $12,000, you see 260 backers, and you think, wow, on a large scale, right? Because this is, we had some big players in here. We got G Webs, we got you know we got Yankee, we've got Matt, of course. But compared to some of the people out there in the 2A world, that's small fries. So you're thinking, wow, if you know what, how could this scale up, and if it could scale up, what could be done with that? And then we think too, we went back to talking about how 260 people can essentially raise over $12,000 for a cause, and that's pretty phenomenal. So you know, um, moving forward and looking at other projects, um, and even thinking about, this is a good opportunity to plug Tony's 2A fund over there. If his 2A fund, for example, could generate half of that, or even a quarter of that a month. Um, Man, look at the different projects and organizations he could help through the 2A fund. So that's one thing that we definitely want to plug over there, is with some of these projects like 2A fund, and Big Tony, the Diversity Shoot, diversityshoot.com, the GunTube project. These are things that um, they could really benefit from your outside and additional support above and beyond this particular project. So it's great to have those people involved in this, to sort of bring awareness to those things too, because you got to figure 260 backers, there's going to be a big majority, and that's kind of why I wanted to know and was curious about the why these people uh, make that decision to jump on board and get involved in this project with us. Is that you got to figure a large percentage of those are looking for worthy efforts, and within this patch batch, we like I said, we've definitely got the projects, individual projects, that are well worth the backing and the support, additional support from people out there.
Absolutely.
So people are already answering you there. You're on a phone though, right, Clover?
I'm on the phone. Well, I got the computer up, but I'm trying to do some stuff with the podcast, and the internet's crappy, and so it works and it don't a little bit. So
Did you get your new internet?
I haven't yet. No, we're still trying to hammer out the details on that, but working on it. It can't come soon enough. I can tell you that right now.
I hear you.
Unless we want to do a fundraiser right quick, before this one's over, and raise me about 13 grand. It'll have to wait. It's coming.
So you'd asked the question. Roy is saying, just wanted to support the people that actually support the Second Amendment. I'm sick of social media giants that, I don't know what that, profit from their right to bear arms but do not do anything to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that may be that may be the sentiment of a lot of people, honestly.
So then I've been asking on both sides of the chats, just kind of a game. I don't know if there's anything other than a game, but just to guess what the number of backers will be, and then what the end dollar signs will be.
I think we'll break 275. I'm gonna go out on
275 for backers, you mean?
backers, yeah.
Because I thought you were going to say $275,000. That'd be pretty good.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That's Dragon Man party. That's Dragon Man party level, isn't it?
We will add another patch to it. $275,000.
Right, just one.
Right,
We'll
right, just one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be optimistic and say 300 backers, and you know, as far as money, say 20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
8,000. That's pretty good.
There you go. That'll work.
So we've got
we're just playing a game here, right?
Yeah, the money wise is there's too much math involved with that for me at the moment. So I don't know what to say. I would venture a guess that from 261 or whatever we are now to that traveling outlaw. I seen that he said $1,776. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Or 17,000. I guess it'd be $760. What it'd have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I would venture a guess that from the 261 to my estimate of a 275, all of those would probably be, you know, I'm guessing that's probably $50 level. So I don't know what that comes out to as far as monetarily. What is that, 14? So another $700 or whatever it is now.
Vanessa Kitty out there is saying never too much math.
Yeah. The end of a long day it is. I can tell you right now. She's a math nerd. She can say that. I'm not.
Well, Clover, you know what I've learned.
I'm a calculator dude, man.
Keep a calculator right next to you just in case.
A calculator.
So from my clock, it's a 9:59. I'm going to refresh here. It still says 3 hours, but I'm guessing it's going to turn to 2 hours here in a second.
Probably once it passes the threshold, yeah, I would think.
Because I'm thinking it's my time zone. So wherever the server is, it's based off of where I told it I'm in Arizona, or we told the thing it's in Tucson, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. It says 2 hours now.
Oh, no, it says, let's find out. It says 2 hours for you.
Hours.
Yep, it switched to 2 hours for me. So
yeah, hit the top of the hour.
Yeah.
So you're saying a bunch of stuff over there before, but one of the concepts here was to bring in people that either hadn't done anything for crowdfunding at all, or hadn't been involved in one, and then could use patches. We had talked about a couple of organizations that were quite larger that would probably have participated for sure, just to be participating in it and be part of the collaboration. It's just that they weren't in any financial need. Like, there was a couple we talked about that, are funded, at least to the point where they don't think about patches. They already have that kind of marketing stuff down. So I guess we were kind of focused on smaller, for the most part, at least budget-wise, smaller budget type of things, or individuals. Although we do have Florida Carry in there, and that's been a decision of theirs, I guess. They just haven't gone with patches, and I can't say I blame them. Patches are not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. There are just one of many, whatever you want to call, like logo type of things, or ways to be proud of a brand, or to promote an organization. But there's hats, there's t-shirts, there's coffee mugs, there's pens, there's stickers, there's lots of the typical stuff, and then there's all kinds of different creative things and all kinds of stuff we're not thinking about. But and I've made patches for Arizona Citizens Defense League here in Arizona, and they don't fly off the shelves or anything. They're most people that are into guns, I guess it's just a portion of them that are into the patches or whatever. But anyway, it was and the idea was to do one thing and not do 6 different types of promotional items. That would have been even more difficult with the perks and with the shipping and everything else, and with the amount of sources for all that stuff. But the idea was to bring in people that have some need, and then people that have some ability, and then people that have just never delved into this yet. Again, Tony, Simon, and the 2A for E. We talked about it in other things, but the way that he has his shoot every other week, with people showing up in an actual place. A lot of us, pretty much all the rest of us are all the rest of us? Yeah, all the rest of us are, except for Florida Carry. The rest of the panel is mostly an online entities. But 2A for everyone is boots on the ground. Florida Carry is people in Florida. They definitely have organized events that people show up to. So for both of those two, you know, having a patch in hand that's completely free to them that they can hand out to people, that's the kind of, you know, there's no concern, like, you know, no hesitation, I guess. Do I hand this guy a patch? Don't think about it. You didn't pay for that patch. It's
right.
Gonna go, you know, get it out there to people, put it on their bags, put it on their hats.
Yep.
So part of it was that, and then, you know, for this part of it, for the overall part of it, it isn't, what am I trying to say? Like, it isn't a structure, a blueprint that, you know, we just plugged in 12 patches into and it's a done deal. It's a little bit fluid because of the nature of the minimum orders and the complexity of various patches and stuff. They're all going to have a little bit different price, and there's certainly going to be an effort to get all the designs in a reasonable time and everything. So once we've got one down, we'll be able to come up with a better structure for it with everything. But part of it was I wanted to deal with people that could be, what's the word, flexible with the lack of structure. Now going forward, there's probably organizations that would be valuable, but either they're so inexperienced, like pretty much everybody that's on here has pretty much fluent level internet or better, or like, you know, either fluent or plus level of experience on the internet. There's so many valid organizations out there that need experience on the internet, and this might be a way to introduce them. So so that, I guess all those were factors, but and then again, if you haven't had experience with the behind the scenes, once it's all over, so in a few hours here, we'll literally be able to start picking apart finite numbers. We'll know how many people ordered, how many, and the internationals can really get crazy. I've had South African orders on the last deck of cards just kill any, there was no profit, like no profit. Like, it's amazing how much shipping can cost when you throw a bunch of cards overseas. And that kind of stuff can sneak in, because I'll have campaigns that nobody from international touches it at all. And then you know, there's always the, whatever, the gamble. Do I leave the international even on or not? You know, you got the potential with something that if international wants to participate, if their money's worth more than ours, you might get a lot of casual international money, and we'll take international money, right? It's all electric money. But anyway, so we'll be able to take a look at a lot of that stuff, you know, soon. And I don't know how much more people are going to want to put attention into it, you know, this week, but we'll have all this information. So in future get-togethers, we'll be able to decipher some of the actual results, not only to build the next one, but to give everybody who is involved in this one some actual experience. It's not easy to gather $10,000 and deal with it. It's honestly going to be quite a bit of work behind the scenes, but none of these organizations will have to deal with that. And, you know, I'm not charging for that. If I was more of a capitalist, I didn't care about our community, I probably could charge for that, because that's what I guess consultants get charged for, is knowing how to do things faster than somebody who's learning it. But we can accomplish the same thing. We can get everyone some experience, get them some idea of what, you know, they're going to know what their patches cost. So if they want to buy more or whatever, now in the future, they'll know what, whatever, we're looking at least 300 something quantity. So they'll know in the future from, you know, now on, what a 300 quantity run is going to cost or be worth for them, because they're going to also get the value of having 300, well, not 300, but 100 something patches. So, you know, they'll know what it would cost them to replace it and what that brought in, if it was interesting to their audience or not. So we're going to give them some valuable data, hopefully, that they can use to, you know, go forward with their projects. But then as we get together in the future, we'll all be able to come back and share this info. Since we've all got this common set of commodity, you know, it'll be something that we can use as a, what is it, the, you know, something that we all share, that we can, you know, all put in or share our input on. And we should gain a lot more than, I guess I'm trying to say, if any of us would have done this individually, the best we could have done is interpret our own data and shared it with people. But now we'll have sort of a common set of data that we can all experience, and, you know, two-way for everyone. We'll be able to share what Tony did with his patches, and we'll be able to compare that with what Ghost or somebody else did with their patches. So there should be a lot to learn. And anybody who wants to pay attention along with us, most of us are doing all this stuff in live chats or on the two-way workshops and stuff. So hopefully some people out there that aren't yet in the game but are curious about it will get some experience with what kind of stuff takes place, how much work there is to it, how much work there isn't. I mean, really, we are able to do some really neat things here that if we would have tried to do this, 5 years ago, would have been extremely difficult. 10 years ago, would this even be possible? 20 years ago, this isn't even a concept, right?
Right.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be definitely going to be interesting to see what happens, you know, with the patches. I mean, all of those, obviously anybody involved with buying a set doesn't have to worry about, you know, anything necessarily, because they'll end up, you know, with a set, so not a big deal. But you know, if anybody out there misses the boat, since we got a little time, we'll talk about missing the boat a little bit. But you know, if anybody out there misses the boat on getting the set, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how those patches scatter and how they get distributed, and where you're going to be able to get them if you was to want to cobble together a set of your own. Because I mean, some people like to hunt with that, so there may be people that buy a set and then they still try to cobble a set together, right? It's kind of like, you know, I was once into the sports cards, you know, baseball cards and football cards and things like that at one time, and you know, that was part of the fun of it. Was, yeah, you could go buy the entire set if you wanted it, but you know, it was also fun to buy retail boxes and open them up, and you know, oh crap, you know, I bought 3 boxes and I still like these 6 cards, and so you go to card shops and things, and you know, go through the cheap bins or whatever it might be, looking for specific ones to, you know, it's just some merit on being able to complete a set yourself. So it's going to be interesting to see if people, you know, participate in something like that, trying to cobble one together, and if so, how difficult is it to get your hands on some of these? Because you know, some of them, especially when you're talking about Tony's, right? With him doing the diversity shoots, you know, he gets his 100, and you know, in a few months they may all be gone, you know, given out, and you know, he's got no more, and they're in circulation, and unless you buy one from somebody that got it from Tony at a diversity shoot, you're pretty much out of luck at getting that patch. So, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens after the fact. Nobody hurt themselves now.
All right. Yeah, so I got a couple questions out there on the YouTube side asking me about how much GunTube patches are going to be after this. Well, it depends on how many I get a hold of, how many I have. But, you know, all those patches are going to be used to help GunTube continue to operate, because bandwidth isn't cheap. And I also need storage space, too. So, yeah, so I can continue hosting these videos on YouTube. Or GunTube. Not YouTube. But, yeah. And no, I don't want bullet holes in GunTube patches. That's why there aren't bullet holes on that TV. Just
right.
saying.
So
if I wanted bullet holes on it, then it'd be a hit or miss patch and not a GunTube patch.
So what are you thinking with you'll do with yours, Night Strike? You think you're gonna kind of ration it out, have some for giveaway, and then I'll try to maybe auction a few, and then maybe sell a few, and you're gonna do multiple things with them, or what's going on in your mind?
Yeah, I'm thinking if I do get any, I'll probably ration a few off just to sell on the website. You know, mm-hmm. Also maybe put a few up on eBay to auction them off to help GunTube get some upgrades for the server.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Also, as well as just, you know, keep a few off the side. It's like giveaways for, say, those that are patrons of GunTube on Patreon, because they're helping GunTube stay online right now.
Right. Well, see, that was me. See, I've got a perk level on Patreon where you get a patch, and the patches I've got now I'm almost out of. the round tactical leprechaun patches. And,
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give away, a couple of those patches, not every month, but infrequently. I'm gonna say everyone who's a patron has a chance at winning a patch. So I'll just go through the list of those that are patrons of GunTube, and whoever wins, I'll just send them a patch.
Yeah. I was thinking I would probably set aside some. I'm thinking about, and it kind of depends. C-Web's got to run numbers and crunch numbers and do everything he's got to do once it's over to figure out what it costs to actually buy extra patches. But, I'm definitely open to the idea of potentially with my design buying some extras that I can use for potentially that Patreon perk down the road, the free patch perk. For Patreon and that sort of thing. But then too, we were talking about. I guess it was the other night. I don't even remember. But we were talking about the whole gun shop thing, and I'm thinking, man, I think I'm gonna take some of my patches and maybe take those to my local gun shop. Those guys, help me out, and I work with them all the time, and maybe take them some, not only give them the employees or whatever one, but maybe work out a deal where they can sell them there in the store, and I was thinking I'll probably even work a deal to where give them like a map pricing, you know what I mean? Say, hey, get a minimum of this much money. You can sell them for whatever you want, but get a minimum of this, and then work out a deal where they don't even have to pay me. They can just put that on a credit board or something for me, because they help me out with so much stuff anyway.
Right.
And maybe
Absolutely.
Give them, I don't know, maybe give them 20 patches or 25 patches or something like that, and say, here, if you.
I would not do that.
So
no, because I've done this with stores before. So give them more like assume you're going to give a store 4 or 5 because they don't want a bunch of inventory that they got enough stuff on their real estate. There's shelf space usually. An empty store might be different, but a typical store, I'd recommend doing what you're talking about for sure. Especially when I don't know if you were talking about the ones you're making or the ones from here, but the ones from here for sure.
Yeah, talking about potentially once I get the ones from here,
those will sell on the shelf too because your design is cool. So let's say you take 5 and you give it to them like you're saying and say, I'm selling them for $20, $10, $20 online because I have to do shipping. Sell them for $10 here. Keep the money. Thanks for doing business with me, or thanks for being a good friend. And like you say, give a couple to your friends or whatever. And then if they sell out, now you can say, okay, good. Like, I can give you 5 more, or let's talk. Like maybe patches would sell here. So you can not only do it as a favor and a handout, but you're also doing it as marketing research. So when you think about a gun shop, let's talk about gun shops. I kind of like these things. So they need to stay in business. And a lot of times people come in to browse what their used selection, their consignment selection, what might have come in new, right? Ammo prices, and then they're gone. A lot of people have the concept, or at least the mindset, that let's buy something when we go into a gun shop. So if it's a cleaning supply or something, you're going to buy something so that place stays in business because you value them existing, not just a purchaser's guns, just for the purchase of guns. So when you give them what we call an impulse item, something they can put near the register that's interesting, colorful, unique, different, collectible, impulse, right? They value that, and it's different, and it's something that their store is going to have that the other stores in town aren't going to have. So I think there's lots of value to that, and if you can consider it a bit of market research, and those 5 sell out within a couple of days, and they're saying, hey, can you get us some more? Now you can work out a business arrangement. I think that was clever when you said, just put it on my tab or something. That's a great idea. But I was going to say, as far as the ones that we're getting you guys for nothing, consider handing them out, especially yours, because yours are going to be more of or like Utah's, right? That would be the kind of thing that are Yankees, right? Those kind that are just kind of funny morale patches, because the shop might find a source of income. I know a couple of stores where I have my patches that sell a lot of patches. They're patch stores that you can't just go online. I mean, you can't go into every store and get some of the patches that are available online, like mine, but there's BMC Tactical in Albuquerque. There's Copper Star in Camp Verde, Arizona, and there's the gun shop up in Oregon that I can't remember the name of that Haas works at. And all of those have my patches. And then Tactical Medic up in Phoenix has a bunch too now. He has every Second Matters patches even. So, you know, and it's not like they sell them a lot, but, you know, give them 5 once in a while. They've got the patches on their panel, so you got some marketing going on. And again, just having a patch panel in a store might be something that they never thought about. And they can go online. They can go to eBay and buy state flag patches for $2 and sell them for 5 and make a couple of bucks. And stores need stuff like that, impulse buys. And the more people you get buying patches in a local area, like not from the internet, but just in a store like that, now you get, oh, I put them on my headliner in my car, my truck. I need to buy a second one for my car now, or for my wife's car, or for the, you know, the pickup truck at the ranch. And then, oh, I can put this on the door of my safe. Like, I'm gonna get a second one for my car now. So now you've created a market for them that's interesting, and potentially you can help them come up with designs, and you can collaborate with them. It's a lot easier for a store to put $200 or $300 into a patch run, and then you can help with the designs and distribution, and they help with the funding. You got a nice little partnership going there.
That's true.
So hopefully that works with everybody, or, you know, the 12 people that are involved. If it works for 3 of them, then that's 3 gun shops that got a new source of revenue. That's a whole bunch of people out there that got a new, you know, thing to do with the Second Amendment and something new to look at online, your websites.com. And then, you know, like I say, potentially a new kind of project or campaign you can do with your gun shop. Because there's got to be all kinds of little local jokes people got, or, you know, state things like that Whataburger thing. Like that probably go over well in a little shop in Texas.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know.
Absolutely. So, of course, if there's any gun shops that want to put videos on gunto.org, I'm not going to complain. Anyways, what's the tally right now for the backers?
Well, if we watch paint dry, it's not going to move, or the watch the water boil, nothing's going to happen.
Right. So not track every 30 seconds. What is it?
Are we funded yet?
Yeah, are we funded? I don't know if we're funded yet.
Oh, so earlier on the gun channel side, way back a while, DTP asked, "What about the $12,000 stretch goal?" So I figured the 10,000 we'd hit, and I had planned on it being 100 individuals and then those doubles. So I guess that didn't work. So there must be some amount of just donations in there. I haven't looked through the backers. I imagine I could look at my reports or whatever. I haven't done that. But there's some amount of people that just didn't buy a perk, basically. And then there was the full 24 people that bought the $15 single patch. But anyhow, the $12,000 perk was based off of the initial distribution of patch perks or whatever. And I assumed, you know, assuming that with that, what's the word to say, like with that set of patches, that would have meant X amount of shipping. So then that would have meant X amount of everything. And, you know, I could have done my math off of that set. And that's where I thought 12,000 would be. What did I put in here? I thought 12,000 would be stickers. So I put in here, buy as many USA made stickers as possible to go along with the patches and send them to you. So I don't think I know it's not possible to make 4,000 stickers, period. So it might be possible to send some stickers out to the backers. Honestly, though, I don't know. Right now, we'll know more in a few hours here once the numbers are all in again, like I say. But I kind of made it a gray area there. We'll send as many as possible because I knew that was going to be a gray area once we funded. I put the $15,000 one in there because I felt more comfortable that if we can get to that level, then we should probably be able to add a 13th patch. But honestly, I was gambling there because to get to 15, I probably should have gone backwards. You have to take whatever that is, 5,000 divided by 50 pretty much. So that's what, 100? No, that's 100 more backers, so 100 more shippings. So you got to kind of backwards do the math on all that. The 20, I just picked a number out of my butt. I didn't really think I anticipated we might get up to 15 maybe or something. I didn't want to make it 13 because that seemed like too optimistic. And I'm glad I didn't put it at 13 because I also didn't factor in the fees. It's going to be at least 10% fees, so $1,200 right off the top, right? So the 20 and the 50, whatever, and then the 100 and the 2 million, we're just to have some fun. But there's valid to have stretch goals. When you have a project, you can either set it up so that, let's say you're trying to get Night Strike to Tulsa, he'll be able to do something with $5 if you send it to him, and that's all he makes. But if he can make the full funding, great. So something like this, having half the funding would have meant we had to refund everybody's money because there's no way to do it at all without the initial whatever level of funding was. So with this type of one, once you get to that initial level of funding, you don't necessarily want to make it end, because ideally, the more quantity you make of everything in a situation like this, at least, typically the price is going to go down with quantity, because it's a lot of setup fees that get distributed over the number of items and that kind of thing. And then I guess it's a factor of once they set up a machine set or whatever it is they do and then have it run, it's less costly to have that person just keep doing the work than it is to have them tear it all down and learn the new patch in the line or whatever they're going to do next. So anyway, so for those reasons, I figured I could probably put some extra ones in there, but we'll know a lot more. And then next time we do one of these, the stretch goals will be a lot more realistic to whatever we figure out this time.
All right. Well, hey.
Well, I'll just go ahead and throw this out there and say that, if we get to the 12,000, that was the stickers, right?
Well, we're at 12. We're past 12, but yeah, the 12,000 was the stickers. 15 was another patch.
So if it helps, I'm not saying it does, but I'm just throwing this out there. If it helps, what I'm willing to do, because I've got a sticker guy here, and him doing 150 stickers, 200, however many sets are sold or whatever, probably not a big deal for him to do that for me. So I could either provide my own and figure out something like that, or it'd probably be better if I did provide my own once we figure that out, and I could just ship them all to you, and then you could distribute. But I was going to say, if somebody bought a set and they wanted, that sticker, then I could always, drop that in an envelope and send it to them. But then I guess I'm going to be incurring potentially dozens of dollars in shipping costs that way. So.
A lot, because also when you're talking about something like that you produce, even if you get them produced at a low amount, you still are wasting somebody's time, a favor, and all that. So you don't want to go back and redo them. So you'd want to insure the items, is what I'm saying, so that if you lost them, at least you could compensate the guy, like, hey, sorry, I got to waste your time again, but here's the $50 from that insurance or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would get more. I would get more anyway.
But I appreciate it. I'm not sure. We'll see. Like I say, we're just kind of.
But I'm just throwing it out there that if it comes down to it, that I'm open ended on all of that. I've got ways I can deal with the sticker issue if we need to. Because I was thinking about making them anyway, to be honest with you.
Okay, so that's something we got to do, or we could talk about, is a couple of things. Dang it, what was the first one? Well, the second one is how we're going to, that was the second one, how we're going to commemorate the first 100. So we can come up with that. I think we hesitated to get too much into that carpet for the horse stuff, but there's nothing else. We might as well talk about that kind of thing now, because we're getting to where we need to start prepping that. And then the second thing was, we're going to have envelopes going out to at least 261 backers at this point. Well, probably not 261, because like I said, a couple of those people just dropped a buck or two and they didn't expect anything in the mail. But potentially, hundreds of people are going to get something in the mail from us. And it's always frustrating to me as just somebody who's typically not licking all those stamps, but, peeling the stickers on all that and stuff in envelopes. I'll get help once in a while on the big projects. But, seeing them all, buying the envelopes and the stickers and printing everything and putting them all together, it's almost like wasted opportunity when I see, I'm paying $4, let's say, to ship something insured to across the country. I can put like 3 or 4 more ounces of stuff in there. So I'm thinking some sort of a paper for anybody that's interested. But we got the potential to not just hand out the thank you patch, for helping us to create this project, but some outreach. So the same way I do like the Every Second Matters business cards. If you guys wanted to have, I don't know, something as simple as a business card or something more elaborate like a card, like what am I trying to say, like a postcard that maybe describes your project or a thank you to the funders, the backers. There might be some potential there, and there should be time because we got till the NRA show that the stuff is actually being sent out. We could have a couple of shows on ideas and strategies, and then everybody can come up with their art and then send all that stuff to me. And then that way you guys, if let's say you get it at Vistaprint or someplace, economical online, you send it to me, it gets here, and then I can stuff the envelopes with all that stuff. And then whatever's left, if there's, you buy 500 and we send out 300, I can send you the 200 with your patches. And that way, and maybe even, let's say you do that, you get 500, we send out 3. I could take 100 and give 20 of those or something, 10 of those to each of the others in the group. So everybody has a little bit of the promotional info or something. And then along with all that, something additionally, a 13th item, that is the whatever we're going to come up with for the commemoration of those first 100. And then the, whatever you were calling it, like this certificate of authenticity for all the others. Or just something that's maybe just a picture of all the finished patches, like sitting on a thing, or, some sort of a graphic. I try to do it with the decks when I do them. You can't necessarily write everybody's name. I mean, I guess you could just write everybody's name small, but I don't know. It's just not my thing. I don't know if people want their names, necessarily.
Well, there's not but 12.
But if
not but 12.
I was just going to say to have some sort of a thank you, though, to the people that participate, because this is, it's only 200 people, 300 people. I mean, it's literally, we could, we're saying thanks to the people that got this project off the ground. So anyway, I was thinking something like a thing on the back that we all come up with to write to say, how it helps our channels or something. I don't know. But
yeah, or just I think everybody knows how thankful we are, so even something generic. And I mean, we were talking about some type of a certificate of authenticity type thing for those sets. So you could even do, as a thank you, here's your certificate of authenticity commemorating that this is an original, patch batch set or whatever, 2A patch batch 2019 set, something along that lines. And then with only 12 involved, I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to send you business cards, that you could slide into everything, I guess, if people wanted. You do that, obviously, when you ship out stuff all the time. I do it as well. I always throw a business card in there. You never know. I've actually got quite a few of my older business cards left, probably enough to cover this, which would be great because my new ones are not gloss and they have plenty of white to make notes. The old ones, I thought that I had enough, but then I did them gloss and they don't write, you can't write on there very well and stuff. So that's one of the reasons I'd redone mine before I actually ran out. So that would be a good use for the extra cards I've got sitting around.
I'm thinking, I don't know, it's kind of late for this one, but in the future, I'm going to consider like maybe a special perk or just an arrangement with somebody to help cover shipping, because shipping can be considerable, especially if you want to bubble wrap and insure, because you can definitely do it on the cheap. You can put stamps on stuff and just buy a couple of extra items and then anticipate some losses along the way. With the regular envelope, the patches will sometimes get squished out as they go through the rollers, kind of like a toothpaste coming out of a tube. You know, imagine. So, and they don't care. They just fall on the floor and get scooped up and thrown away, I'm sure, because the people you'll pay for the empty envelope to get to them. And they might put a sticker on there that says, something happened, sorry, but they don't care. So it's your fault for putting it in an envelope, basically. So anyway, there can be some significant shipping. And I think actually with one of the Glocktober projects, I had already bitten it probably. Usually I'm no genius. You know, I probably took a loss. And then the next time around, we were going to do the Glocktober one year. And I think that was the first year when we got a lot of stuff from Glock, like a lot of stuff. So we were able to do 100 prize packs. I don't know who was around for that, but the first Glocktober, we did 100 prize packs. And I forget how many organizations were involved. Artisan Tony, We Like Shooting. Holy moly. There was everybody that was anybody that I knew back then. I gave them like 3 to 10 giveaways. You know, we had 10 or more people involved in this thing. And people were giving away stuff all month long. And then, you know, that became 100 things to send out. And some of them were t-shirts, range bags. I mean, Glock gave us a lot of stuff. And then I worked with the Wilderness Tactical out of Phoenix. And they gave us a bunch of stuff, again, shirts and hats and things that were like not going in a $3 envelope. You know, they were going in an $11 box. So we had a lot of shipping. And I ended up, who did I work with? I worked with somebody out of Florida, I think, helped pay for shipping, and in return, we put some of their materials into the packaging. So, like I say, I don't know if I didn't think about it, honestly, on this one, but that's something we certainly will incorporate into the next ones. And I'd encourage anybody that does your own type of crowdfunding project like this one, where there actually is an item or widget that needs to be sent, to while you're creating it or as part of the campaign itself, look for or put the word out that you're looking for help with shipping, because it is an opportunity. Somebody that's selling like earmuffs or steel targets or food in the mail or one of those packs that come in the mail that you pay for a monthly subscription for. A lot of those kind of things would be an opportunity. You know, they look for focused places to market. And if, you know, you're looking at deferring a couple of $4 worth of each item in shipping, and you can get 4 or 5 cards in there that'll supply you with the card and $1, you know, for each envelope going out, then that can help a project that, you know, doesn't have huge reach or doesn't have a lot of participation, and still allow it to happen without being a financial burden on whoever's doing the project.
Right.
And that's what it's really all about. I'm hoping too that, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the 261 people here have participated in this kind of stuff before, but we got to assume of the almost 300 people here, some of them have to be new to the concept of a bunch of people participating in a small amount to bring something to life. And in this case, I was thinking this is basically like going to some store and buying 2 shirts. And if you're lucky, those 2 shirts that you buy for $50, $10 might go to the person whose design it was or who you're actually trying to support. The rest of it's getting ate by the shirt itself, and then the overhead and the shipping, right? Whoever is making it charges something because they want to be in business, and then shipping. So, you know, for the $50 to get something like this, it's, you know, comparable, I think, to just buying a couple of shirts.
Yep.
I see gun streamers out there where that's pretty much the only patch we don't know, I think. Yeah, it is the only patch we don't know, so that one will be a TBA.
That's to be announced.
Yep. You said that the GunTube logos, you're going to switch that red out to blue for the patches?
That was an idea. I don't know if I really am or not.
I think the overwhelming public opinion is to switch it to blue.
Maybe.
97% of gun owners think you should switch it to blue.
All right.
Well,
I'm just saying. I heard that in official
Did too.
Congress testimony.
I've also heard from Congress that 99% of gun owners are NRA members too, but I don't believe that.
Oh, we should have got the NRA on this. Add NRA in here. We'll do one with NRA, Benchmade, Springfield, EOTech.
We can't forget Rock River Arms.
Yep. We'll get like 0. It'll be like this lowest funded.
Lowest funded product ever.
4 clicks on it.
No, we'd be lucky to get 2.5. And if you're gonna ask, how do you get half a click? Well, that's where they click it and then take it back.
3 people click and 2 people unclick.
Yeah.
So Pomade is saying red is the color of communism. It's undisputable. Just that way it is. Roy is saying, GunTube, your logo looks so similar to Gun Guy TV's logo.
Oh,
You know who that guy is?
Never heard of him.
Oh, really? He's pretty. I've seen him around. He wasn't olden days YouTube, but he's on Streamer, I think.
I don't know. I'm looking at his logo. It's different.
I mean, it's a red TV.
Oh no, it's black.
No,
If
you're
you're
looking at the wrong one. You're looking at the wrong one then. Gun Guy TV. It looks almost exactly like yours, but it has a TV, kind of like MTV more. I think last time I looked at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look on. Is it Gun Guy TV? Am I right? Let me see out here. Yeah, I'm looking on stupid YouTube. I think that's where it's at.
It's different. It's not the same TV. It's a different TV, different style of TV. It's still an old school TV, but it's a different one.
Oh no, he's changed his. Let me see. Okay, yeah, he kind of did, but like you say, when I went to this page, it looks totally different now. Here, let me go to this one. It looks totally different here. Or no, that's not him.
That's not him.
It looks totally different. His looks like this though.
Yeah.
So the only real similarity is kind of the font takes up the whole screen.
And he's using more of a 70s style TV.
And what is yours supposed to be?
Mine's just supposed to be a normal TV.
Normal TV with dials on the side, and that's not an 80s style TV.
It might be an 80s style, yes. Yeah, I have to differentiate.
How long will it be before like that's cool again to have like big consoles and they start cramming computer monitors into old clunky consoles just because it's cool?
But believe it or not, I've seen a bunch of people do that as a retro project on YouTube.
I've seen it happen, but I'm saying until that's like cool and you go to like IKEA and it's a bunch of old 70s TV, except like
where you can shove an LCD into. Yeah, I think it'll probably be another 10 or 20 years before that's retro enough.
we're already doing the video game cabinets where everybody knows you can shove that into a keychain literally at this time, put it in your watch, but they buy these giant cabinets like if it's the arcades back in the day.
Well, that's more than a nostalgia factor.
Yeah, if you've got they're so, what gets me about those is and I don't know if anybody's ever seen the retro arcades that are out there, but what gets me is the cost on those. It's basically a plywood cabinet with a flat screen TV in there and like a little
Raspberry Pi.
Seriously, yeah, a Raspberry Pi. And they're like $300 or something.
The $300, and I'm like, it really is that plywood really worth $300? I'm pretty sure
it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's
mostly.
I'm pretty sure you give me a table saw, I can make a cabinet for much cheaper, probably like $20.
Right.
What the hell? But anyway, it's shipping from China, dude. If they're shipping all that wood from China, that's most of it's probably shipping.
Probably.
I don't want Chinese wood.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think those cabinets are made in like Utah or something. They're probably made in China and shipped over.
They're all made. All the parts are from China.
I mean, back in the day, there was actual work in those things. But yeah, nowadays it's just like you say, a couple of components. Do you guys ever work on ATMs?
Mm-hmm.
I did ATM project for a long time ago, where this company was going to put ATMs in hospital waiting rooms. I forget the deal there, but oh no, they weren't ATMs. Sorry, it wasn't an ATM. It was an internet kiosk. It was an ATM looking thing, but you'd put money into it, and you could use the internet for a little while.
Oh,
And so we would build these things, and then you'd buy. They would send us all the components. They were somewhere else, and we were like their Tucson thing. You know, like we would be their techs, and we would assemble these things and install them, and then maintain them. And it was a kind of a neat gig for a minute. It didn't last very long, but anyway, it was this big metal thing that looked kind of like an ATM by the time you put it all together. And then inside of it, like you say, flat panel monitor, which just might as well go to like Circuit City and buy a monitor. It was just a monitor, and then back then there was no Raspberries yet, so just a Windows board, just medium, probably cheap board. Instead of having a mouse and a keyboard, it had this metal thing that was a keyboard that hooked into the cabinet, so it seemed like a video game or something. And then instead of a mouse, like a little reader thing that could read the money, and then the little trackball built into the thing, just sort of like a video game. That was your mouse. Anyway, and you just kind of assembled this computer in just a strange kind of a box, and then set it there, and then hook it up to the internet and walk away. And then people would put in money or credit card and use the internet for a little while. Kind of neat. But anyway, yeah, inside it was just a computer. It was nothing. And then you just set the Windows machine to kiosk mode, which is literally any Windows can do that. And it just makes it so you can't easily bust into it and use it as a computer. You just get to use whatever interface is open on the screen.
Yeah, right. I worked at an arcade right out of college.
See, I think video games would have been a little bit more fun just because there was more fun to it. But I was just always amazed that, you'd think something like that, because it's so big and everything, you'd think like, oh, there must be something going on inside of there. It's like 99% empty space and like 3 or 4 little wires.
This was like 2006, 2007. So what was actually in the cabinets at those times in the arcade basically was just like a really bad Dell computer. And like at that time, they were still using CRTs. So they were still using CRT TVs, a really bad computer, like something you get from like Dell, the cheap Dells, one of those. And it was just connected to power and to the the controls on the front. That's it. That's all they were. So, the illusion was kind of broken there for me. And I was like, I thought they had done better with these.
Well, if you ever looked inside like a pinball machine, like that's
I looked inside the pinball machines. Yeah,
that's like opposite. That's like mechanical wizardry and like crazy engineering or something. It's like that's the opposite extreme of like filling every inch of the cabinet, right?
It's and with all the different the wire and the like 8,000 miles of wire, and there's
I spent a few hours
and the
on
motors
the phone
and the
troubleshooting one of those. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask again. I tried typing it, and somehow it came out as a 0 and a plus sign, and people didn't understand that code. So the first one was supposed to be what number, how many backers do you think we're going to end with? And this plus sign was supposed to say, what number do you think, what dollar sign you think we'll end with? For anybody that wants to put that out there, we've had a couple of guesses already earlier in the show, and I'm going to try to scroll back on the Gun Channel side. Relativity had said 263, and we're at 262, so that guess might still work. 12.8 for the dollars, and we're at 12.7, so that could still be. And no other guesses on the Gun Channel side. Print 260 Minutemen special event decals and drop one into each order. I might do something like that. I could definitely do decals. I was thinking about getting my decal cutter running again. Angelina says my plastics, my vinyl sheets will die after a while. Like they've been shrinking, and eventually they'll just not be good anymore. So I think I'm going to cut a bunch of G's where they're vinyls in like a year.
I thought Bob said there were decals.
Mm-hmm. In Canada, that's what they're pronounced.
Oh, in Canada, right. We don't care about Canada.
15 days so I can be legally buy a Shockwave? Oh, okay.
Yeah, in one of the states, they're they passed the law so you can buy shockwaves, and they're waiting for that to go into effect.
That was nice of him.
Was.
So he is giving us. We got 21 people watching, 26 thumbs, 100% thumb ratio, positive thumb ratio, but no guesses, unless my chat's not working. No guesses on how many we might end up with.
I show 27 thumbs. So.
Oh, really? Maybe I should refresh them. Hold on. So some kind of broken pretzels with chocolate smeared on them, like peanut brittle. I guess I'd eat it. I got 29 thumbs, so yes, I'm happy.
I see 30.
Whoa, whoa. They're coming alive.
You're getting all the thumbs tonight.
It's alive.
All the thumbs.
All the thumbs. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so 12 patches will, let's say that they're 2.5 inches. Let's make them 3 inches. No, let's make, 3 inches because it's too difficult to deal with 2.5. So 3, and we're going to have 12 of them. So that's basically 3 by 4. So we're talking, at a 3-inch patch, we're talking 9 by 18. No, 9 by 27. So there's already just physically, even if they were all perfect like ice cube trays, we're not going to be able to stick them all in an envelope on one sheet. So maybe 8.5 by 11 folded in half might hold. Would it hold all of them? What did I just say? 3. Yeah, if we folded the piece of paper in half, we could put, I guess, what, 6 on each side. We got a little thing extra because, well, we don't know what Gunstreamer is going to look like. But as I say, 2A Fund is a rectangle, and in the mock-ups, if Gunstreamer just does their plain Jane black and green, just the font Gunstreamer with a rectangle around it, then that would also be a rectangular, a narrow rectangular patch as opposed to a round or a squarish shape. So anyway, that might help with real estate on a page. But I was thinking something like, you do some sort of a graphic that leaves an area for each of the patches to live, and then you just take a hot glue gun and stick it on there. I mean, it would be, it'd take me a while to do it, but I could hot glue. You know how the back of the patches have that other side of Velcro anyway?
Right.
You just put that hot glue on there, peg it to the page. Now it's there, and if somebody wants to leave it like that, good to go. Hey, could you make more noise? What are you doing over there? And we have a mute on our machines that way.
Oh, right.
So anyway, I was thinking of something like that. And then if you wanted to leave it there, you could, or with a fold in the paper, I guess you could set it on a shelf or something, and it would essentially be a display. If it was like cardstock, huh? Something rigid enough to hold up the weight of the patches. And then, of course, if you just were going to use the patches, you just either rip the whole thing off because it's just hot glue, or just rip the, your patch off, leave the Velcro there, or maybe something like that. Oh, now we got some guesses. 271, 279. Those are ambitious. That's another 10 people jumping on board. Maybe they know something. Maybe they're still jumping in. Let me go see when the last one was. Oh, 19 minutes ago. Oh, now I'm here by myself. All right, well, so people are out there. Why don't you tell us some ideas of who would be in the next patch batch? I really wanted to put a press pass in there. You have an internet issue? Have you seen my press pass patch?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was thinking of doing something like that in PVC, but it wasn't really two-way media. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. And
I think I've actually got one of those.
Probably one that, well, it has to be one that I sewed then.
Yeah. Well, he still did a good job with it, so.
Yeah, they look okay sewed, but I just think, they'd be a cool one in PVC. It doesn't really sell. I've never really tried any folks sell them or something like that.
Yeah, the internet press pass.
Yeah, exactly. When I first started going, well, not when when Haas first started going to SHOT, I think that was like 10 or 11. They started Hazard Gear or something like that, Hazard 4, some company called Hazard. They're Chinese stuff. They make bags and patches, and I think they made that little. Yeah, that's the one. They
That's the
made
one.
little. I actually have two designs of that one, but that's the one I was thinking of. They really made the little tiny cozies for beer that look like a jack, like a armored plate carrier that people put on dogs and cats. I think it's that same company. Anyway, that one had a media patch, like what you would put on if you were embedded reporter with a operational unit. How they'll put like patches on to indicate like, don't shoot me, I'm press. So it says press, and then it says press in squiggly lines in some other language. And I thought those were cool, but I don't go anywhere where I don't know what that squiggly shit says. So I wanted to make a press pass patch that could be used for somebody that wants to like put it on their bag, or maybe their camera bag, or on a vest, or on a hat or something, or jacket shoulder, so that they can indicate their press. It's not official or nothing, but at least they can indicate their press without having to go around saying, hey, I'm press, hey, I'm press, or if they're in an angle, or if their bag doesn't have their press pass on it. It's just a way to indicate, hey, leave this alone. It's not just a vagrant's, bag or some bomb laying here. It's it's my camera's, so leave it alone, or it's mine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do a patch again this year for just gear websites. I might just add that one into there. So I was asking Clover. I think you had internet or jumped out or whatever. Did you jump on your phone, computer, or is this just your phone went out?
Yeah, I had like 8% battery on the phone, so I had to try to plug it in and charge it. And it was plugged in, but it was still losing battery for some reason. So we'll try the computer, see what happens.
Oh, yeah. I was asking, who do you think? Any ideas for where you can do a second one? Who to include in the second one?
Well, I mean, I think we got to put some girls in the mix somehow. So I need to look into that for sure. I know that Budget. I know Budget has expressed wanting to be in it. So that's definitely an option. I don't know. Haven't thought about it real heavy. Because you got to branch out to. It'd be cool to get Charlie maybe involved.
Riding shotgun with Charlie. He was one of the people I originally asked. He just didn't answer, so he didn't get in.
Yeah, I can give him a call if I need to and bounce him out. He got on iHeartRadio recently. I don't know if you've seen that. So, but
yeah,
I don't want to take credit for that, but I'm going to take credit for that. But,
funny.
Yeah, I think we could probably get him on board. So.
And it'd be a good one for him because of the way he does his project, he could hand it to people and then do it as a way to fund travel, because that's, he's doing a 9-to-5 and then trying to fund travel. I barely had a chance to talk to him a couple of times now, and he doesn't look at crowdfunding in different ways, in lots of different ways. He looks at it in one, you put out a hat as a tip jar. So, I think he's got some real potential with his project and the way it is. In other words, somebody like me who's just doing stuff, right? I don't have anything except for the Daily Gun Show. I'm not doing a consistent thing that like I'm known for, I don't think. Or like GunTube has a project. Well, Charlie's got a thing that he's known for. And getting to destinations is an easy incremental thing. Like I'd like to go to a destination every month. That's a easily obtainable goal that everyone can see and focus on at a Patreon or at a any kind of crowdfunding type of effort. But anyway, yeah, I think that'd be neat. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's a patch guy or not. That's the thing. So, and I'm not trying to shove patches down everybody's mouth. Like I said, I'm open to doing something else as the catalyst. I mean, like I was saying before, patches aren't necessarily the least expensive thing to do either.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, we got Charlie, Kevin. I thought, in fact, I was thinking, I don't know how it works out. I have to look at a calendar once this is over and we get a more experience. This will be my second time doing a lot. I've talked to people who do as many patches monthly, and to get an idea of times and, you know, it's one thing asking them to do one thing. Now you're asking them to do 12 things. You know, is our factories consistent like that kind of thing? Our source is consistent. So I've been, you know, once we've got a bit more experience, we'll see how long it takes to do the whole thing. Because if we can do one before Kevin's thing, I kind of just mentioned it the other day, but I don't know how many people are going to be attending his. You know what I'm talking about, the Kevin Dixie's 2A Summit thing in May?
Yeah, it's in May, right.
But that might be too soon. Depends on how we figure it out. And if, you know, but again, that's a totally different scale of audience. Kevin and people that are going to that are more trainers. So their audience could potentially be a lot more alumni, people that are more focused on supporting the efforts of those individuals. So it would be an interesting mix to get those types of people that are focused on human being direct contact with the opposite, people that are more familiar and comfortable with broader internet concept and then or reach, and then again be able to share. Now it might not be ideal if Kevin's busy anyway. I mean, he is, but with the event and everything, it might be a lot to throw on. But at the same time, if we're able to come up with a bit of a system and a task list and stuff, so that the next time it's more of a process and a recipe that we're following as opposed to winging it, then it might be easier for people to join on because it's not an unknown, less of an unknown at least, right?
Right. Yeah. John, what comes to mind? John Richardson. That can be potentially an interesting dynamic.
John's cool, but he's so quiet, and he already has a patch, right? And he just gives his patch out to people. He doesn't do any kind of funding, but he's a member of Blade Society. And Blade Society is a bigger entity with, you know, incorporating a couple of different other entities. So I would definitely say Blade Society. And I don't think John would want to, because he's not. He's a contributor too. I think who was saying it, Mike was saying it yesterday, know your roles kind of thing. I don't think John tries to be an entity. He's a contributing entity to bigger, to other existing.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, he's more of a writer, not the gear reviews or not the Plate Society. But Plate Society would be a good one. They host the AmCon, or at least the people that are Plate Society are the people that do AmCon. And they simulcast the Gun Rights Policy Conference on Facebook. So they're technically doing something, right? So that's useful. It'd be nice if they did it on a platform that was, you know, pro-gun, but whatever.
Guntube.org.
Get live, dude. Get live, and then talk to the Second Amendment Foundation. Yeah, seriously. They're using Facebook numbers last year. I don't even know if they're aware that Facebook will count any view as a view, where YouTube has logarithms to interpret if the viewer actually viewed the video or if they just skipped through it. So, yeah, build something with actual metrics that's on a pro-gun platform. Be a contender. AmCon, though, I don't know if that's worth doing one. Maybe it's an easier goal. September is definitely easier than trying to do it before Kevin's. Maybe as part of the, like I was saying, trying to capitalize on the envelopes going out, I could easily print out something that says, would you be interested in 1 more of these this year, 2 more of these this year, 3 more of these this year? I mean, I'm not trying to saturate the market, but I'm looking at these as potential seeds or funding sources. Because again, what we're creating here is not just a bunch of patches; it's some awareness. But the tangible result is that each of these 12 organizations has 100 patches, and if they are able to sell those patches for $10 a piece, that's $1,000 to each of these organizations. So we've not only, it's not like we each wrote a check and quietly funded them. We've given them a method of, we've teaching them to fish. We've given them a method of funding that they can then duplicate and replicate and play with, and have a future interaction with their people, from that. So anyway, if we look at it like that, then this is an important year, 2019. If we can do this 3 or 4 times and empower and educate and mobilize 36 organizations this year for $150,
Right.
total, if you did all 3, something like that, I'm curious to see what people think, because if we maybe put it in there open, how many more of these do you think we could do this year? And if we get all the answers, say 5, you know what I mean? Now we can start going that into business and like, let's do more of these. Let's get some organizations going.
Right.
Imagine, I mean, we talked about doing one of the gun shops. That's great. But like I say, maybe the gun shops next year even. But what if we did it with all the state level organizations? AZCDL, Georgia Carry, GOAL, Illinois State Rifle and Pistol Association, Florida Carry. Hell, a 50 state one would be wild. It would be fun. It would be what? Twice, a little bit bigger than twice this one, almost 3 times this one.
Right.
How awesome would that be to get 50 states involved, though?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was fixing to say that as far as I'm aware, as far as Texas State Rifle Association goes, the only patches they do are like their life member patches and stuff. So, and they're embroidered. So they would be interested in, the prospect of maybe something in PVC.
Well, if we're talking 50 states and 50 organizations, and we did it as like a larger one, we might go stickers, because that's way easier on everything. It's much easier. You don't have to buy.
Well, I was still hung up on the 12, for the next batch type thing you were talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I agree. If you go 50, yeah.
But if you did 50 states for $50 and it was $1 a patch or $1 a sticker, and instead you were going to get a stack of 50 stickers, and that your $50 is efforting towards 50 states. Right. Wow, that would be kind of neat. I might actually work on that one anyway.
And then I've got a contact with the managing editor at Sportsman's News. So, and Sportsman News is the publication arm or whatever of Sportsman's Warehouse. So they're fairly big. That's more along the lines of the hunting community, I guess, but still, I mean, it's
Sportsman's Warehouse is like a little smaller than Cabela's, if I remember looking at the list of all of them, and they're Canadian, but they might be interested in funding it for the PR, or being involved in something for the PR.
Right.
I've worked with Sportsman's Warehouse back in the day. They were a client of mine when I was back in the olden days, when I first started gun websites. Actually, they were one of my first.
Right.
I was pretty proud of it.
I'm just going through contacts, thinking about, trying to think about people I've met or people that I know.
When you mentioned, so Sloth is saying, when you mentioned maybe having a 4-spot cycles in last video, maybe have a second batch just of the new edition patches, unless people are happy having doubles and triples. Oh, that's interesting. So we were kind of talking about rotating people through like a set number, or maybe compete so that 4 people get dropped, and it's some sort of way that you have to earn their slot. So we were talking about that. If let's say that we did something, and let's say some entity or multiple entities are going to be involved in more than one rotation or more than one batch or set or whatever we're calling these things. I don't think anyone, unless it's something like a GunTube, where GunTube is using them as funding and it's working and he wants to get more out. He could do more just to facilitate it, but here's the 2 sides to that. One, anybody would want to do an additional one, a different one, because it's kind of testing them. It's getting your marketing for free. You're going to be able to throw a patch out there at significant quantity and know right away if it's going to work or not. If you did the GunTube one in this batch and it's successful for Mike, and he wants to do more, we've already got the stuff built for him. Like, he doesn't need to wait for the next batch. In other words, if he really wanted to, let's say, sell them for $10 a piece, so he's going to bring in that $1,000 for the GunTube project, he could designate a buck, 50 cents, some amount of money. Figure how much it's going to cost to do another batch of 200. And then with the shipping and everything, and my outrageous fee that I charge for helping with that, and then divide that up, and then just save whatever it turns out to be, 50 cents, a buck, or whatever from each patch. It's not going to be a buck. It's going to be a portion of that to get another run made. And then, in other words, the idea here is that we're helping them with a source. We're not just giving them fish. We're giving them fish and the insight on how we created the fish, how we went fishing, the techniques we used and the sources. I didn't talk about it because I didn't want this to look like a big funding thing, but if anybody needs patches, I mean, that's one of the things that we do at your websites is do that. So I'm not in the business of doing just patches. I want to see worthwhile organizations have useful logo merchandise. So I basically charge you what it costs me and a couple of bucks, like 20 bucks or something, just so that, you know, if there's a shipping issue or something, you know, I'm not taking it in the butt. But, you know, I will basically get you patches as cheap as you can get them with very little overhead. But once people are in this cycle, they can either work through me or any other source, but they'll have some insight as to what the art needed to look like, you know, the interactions with the manufacturers, and then the results. You know, there's always going to be a, you know, your satisfaction with the end product is going to differ, not just with each patch, with each manufacturer, with each interaction. So you got to get into that game, and it's difficult to do all that by yourself. So this idea was to bring all these people together so that they get some of this. Let's say 12 of them all experience this. A couple of them already experienced it before, but a couple of them, let's say 8 of them are experiencing this for the first time. If 2 of them find out that this works for them and their audience, and then that's a success, right? The others know that it isn't going to work for them, and maybe they go with hat pins, or maybe they go with shirts, or they go with that friend of theirs that does stickers, or Angelina who does stickers out in California, right? So there's something to be gained, even if it isn't a win for each project. But ideally, I guess the answer there is that if we do subsequent ones, or as we do subsequent ones, no one's going to encourage anybody to just do the same patch, because you're right, nobody's going to want a third any patch. So I'm guessing if Matt or Yankee are involved, they're going to switch it out and do a different design. If GunTube, but just like Gunstreamer, they're doing a different design than their first patch. That gives you another item in inventory, perhaps, or a way to be creative with the distribution and the way that you have fun with your people, with whoever it is that, you know, that those patches go out to. So if you did a separate design that's limited run, I don't know. Right.
Yeah, and it you know, it creates, you've got to realize you've got a collectible market out there. You know, there's the potential for a collectible market. So, you know, doing the same design over and over and over and over and over again, you kind of kill that off. You don't create any collectability amongst things. And that's, you know, that's sort of the approach I've taken with stickers, with, you know, well, I mean, with stickers, because I've done more stickers than anything, but patches too, is, you know, I'll do that run, and then the design will change for the next. It may be a subtle change or a minor change, but it's going to be a change. It's not going to be the exact same patch. And that kind of sucks on the buyer's end as far as the setup. You know, I mean, color changes are easy. You don't have a mold fee with that. So you could easily do color changes and it'd be different.
Color changes. Okay, you're talking batch on December and then batch in March. Yes, you can change colors, but right. If you're going to say in December you'd like to get this version, that version, and a third version, 3 different colors.
Yes. No, I'm talking about later on. No, I'm talking about, I'm talking about you order and whatever.
A subsequent order.
Yeah, you order in March, you run out during the summer, and you go in and you're like, okay, I don't want, you know, I wanted that batch to be collectible, so I'm going to change this color to another color. That way it's a different patch. Kind of like the, you know, Yoda came with different color lightsabers, or Darth Vader, you know, accidentally came with different color lightsabers type thing. You create a little bit of a collectability market that way, instead of doing the same ones over and over and over and having, you know, hundreds or thousands of them out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like an intentional difference.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So getting a lot of people responding to the question about who to include in future ones. I'll go over the gun channel side first. The small states would be hard to get a logo on. Yeah, that's true. But that the logos, like for Arizona Citizens Defense League, what the hell is it? It's just our flag in a circle. So it really doesn't have anything about the shape of Arizona. But I'm guessing like Hawaii, who has a weird shape, you know, they're never going to be able to put the name of Hawaii into anything but the big island. So they probably have a logo that incorporates the state into their logo, and then you would just do the patch of their logo or something.
Right.
But oh, because he's following up from something earlier, 50 stickers shaped like the states. Yeah, you've seen those things that they put on RVs, where as you travel around the country, you get the stickers and you keep sticking them on your RV, and then the map, becomes more and more complete as you travel the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought about doing something like that back when I had my decal cutter running all the time, because it's so easy to make. I mean, that's probably, I just go online and find that decal cut, and just cut it all out right.
And how neat would that be with patches? With
patches, it's neat, but it's super difficult. That's why you don't see it, because
I know it would be, but that would be with your state 2A organizations or whatever, and each state shaped patch that are scaled to where when you have them all, it's the United States map.
Oh, that would be freaking awesome, dude.
That would be
neat. And then you have a panel that incorporates, like, maybe the Second Amendment at the top and something underneath. But yeah, that'd be super neat.
Yeah, maybe you surround it with things like the different flags, right? Like the old flags and the Gaston flag, and even move into the.
Well, it's getting pretty big already. Like I say, when you start doing that, think about the smallest state. So Connecticut, let's say, which isn't even the smallest state. If you made that the size of the FU Media, which is kind of small, even if you made Rhode Island the size of a Ranger eye, how big that state, how big that United States gets. It's like a big United States because of Texas. Texas is huge. California is massive. Those patches alone would cost like serious money just because of the amount of rubber.
Imagine Alaska. Alaska's the biggest of them all. So
we wouldn't even do Alaska, because I guess you would just have it hanging there or something.
Yeah.
But stickers would be probably in decals, because decals, so you can pick the size and cut them.
Right.
All right. So anyway, nobody's really saying much except for that. No, wait. Relativity was saying, what's GPB? And that guy's wife. Oh, Gunpowder Beauty and that guy's wife, of course. So now you're talking individuals and not even gun gals, but then you would have put gun gals in there. I also said Sand Hills Shooter and Black Cat are rocking it. Rick's Life, he's trying hard and consistent. Talk about consistent, twice a week consistent, and in other people's chats. Hell yeah. Then we get to the YouTube side, going backwards. Dirty Trucker is saying, what about trying to work with Gun Owners America, Roll Call, MW Tactical, and Gun Gals? So Gun Gals for sure, MW Tactical, Mike. We got Roll Call, and Gun Owners America is an organization. So I would imagine if you walked up to one of those any organization, and said, "Hey, I'm going to do this thing, and you're going to get free stuff." I mean, unless you're somehow weird, I would imagine they're going to say, "Okay." How much they're going to be involved would be a different story, but that would certainly be interesting if we tried to incorporate a national level organization. We tried to incorporate the Florida one this time with that intent, to keep it, one, so that there's one of those involved, but two, so that we have their national level reach, ideally. So if they could bring reach to the campaign, and then we give them a opportunity to do like a limited run or a special patch or a specific campaign, like if we did this, if we had Gun Owners America in this one, they could potentially have some sort of one focused on their NFA fight that they've got going on, or the injunction that just failed. Maybe that would have changed the results of the injunction. I don't know. There would have been, people Instagramming all over the place and tweeting all over the place with this consistent patch, or whatever it happened to be. Okay, so Gun Owners America, then I don't see any other suggestions in there, but basically those are mostly gun channels level people that are working, individuals or working a couple of people at a time, but no suggestions that are like Yankee level, gear report level, gun streamer level. As far as the gun channels one, again, we'll know more. Let me refresh. Oh yeah, it just did. It should be less than an hour, right? Yep, 1 hour left. So we'll know more in a bit here. But as far as the gun channels ones, I just don't see us raising $13,000 for gun channels. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah, it's going to have to be. It's going to have to. You're going to have to have a mixture from top to bottom, and then it's going to have to be. And I think it needs to stay. To be consistent with the theme of what we're trying to do, it's going to have to be a little bit diverse with the types of projects that are involved.
But we don't need 100 patches for the gun channels people either, right? So we can definitely make either a smaller one, so enough to get patches and then a couple of trades, or something, or enough to cover the production of them, and then maybe just the potential of creating a minimum or a high enough quantity order.
Well, and like you said too, and here's the thing is that if you, it's like you said earlier, even if you did a smaller batch or whatever, maybe and was able to pull that off, that gets the mold fee and everything out of the way. So then if those creators, they may only get 5 patches out of the deal, but they've got the mold fee taken care of. Yes, for future stuff. So
and some experience. And what if it falls flat? Then they're out without, they can tap out and go to hat pins or whatever, and not have to experiment with hundreds of dollars.
Right.
And it depends. The patches, I always tell people, it's going to cost you $350, $400 for patches. And I can say that pretty confidently, because if you were to buy like 1 or 2, it's pretty much going to almost cost that much by the time you set up molds, and then they're going to charge you a lot because the shipping and everything is there's just no reason to buy a couple. You only do that like from the place down at the corner that makes t-shirts for little leagues and stuff. Like that's where you do your single patches. So if you're going to get like 10, 15, it's probably still going to cost you like hundreds of dollars because of the setups and the shipping and all that. So when you get to the 100 level, you're probably talking somewhere in there, depending on the intricacy of the patch and the size. But then as you get higher quantities, let's say you get to I'm just going to pick numbers, 250 number level, you might drop in cost, right? And then it'll end up equaling out because of the higher quantity, even with the lower cost, to be right around that $300-$400 area. So I usually tell people that's about where you want to target. And depending if you're going to build your patches to have like 25 or something, to have a couple and trade a couple and have a few left over, or if you're trying to fund a project like Night Strike, I would think he'd want to buy as many as possible and then have them available as a widget that people could buy to support the project or whatever. So in that case, you'd like to buy as many as possible so that once they start selling, you don't have to buy a few in low quality. You have as many as possible that you bought at the lowest price possible, saved on shipping and everything because you got it all at one time. But again, now you're talking a lot of money up front. So anyway, we're going to know a lot more once we send the designs in and we start figuring out what they're going to cost. All that. Oh, so I guess so we were talking about the gun channels ones and either making it smaller so that it's fewer quantity of each one, or smaller, like just a couple of channels, right? We don't have to do 12 for your lords. When you bring the number of channels down or the number of participants down, you get fewer and fewer people interested because your reach is smaller and smaller, right? And then you get probably less of a deal, so it's less of an investment type of people that are looking at it as an investment, or just I guess it would be called an investment, right? If they're buying them as a collectible thing, assuming they're going to go up, I guess. Yeah. So what about doing something with the Patreon? Figure out some number, 50, 100, and then each month have a Patreon level where we try to, once the Patreon, because we do have a Gun Channels Patreon, I'd really like to get an individual working for Gun Channels every month. So the Gun Channels Patreon, I never talk about it too much. I think it's got $100 or something coming into it right now from people that are supporting it. But it basically gets neglected because there's so much other fundraising stuff that's going on, and Gun Channels isn't a money-making thing. But potentially we could use that venue, that Patreon over there, and if it got to the level or whatever it costs, you do the math. If it's going to cost this much to make 100 or whatever, and then if it's going to cost this much, and then you're going to charge this much, then it's going to take 25 people to attain that. So then you figure that much shipping. So you've come up with your final number, and then once you attain that level on Patreon, or you get everybody to say, hey, that's a good idea, let's go do that on Patreon. Assuming that number is reasonable, and we can get that many people on gun channels contributing, we might be able to start generating a small patch run each month over on there, and that would be like a mini version. It would be like an engine pumping out 1 channel's worth of stuff each month, and then possibly have some sort of a viewer thing, like whoever gets the most views, which channel gets the most views or the most likes on gun channels, like there's the patch that gets made that month, or some sort of a panel of third parties that don't have any skin in the game, that aren't making patches, or aren't affiliated with the channels that are in the running, and then let that panel come up with something. Maybe do it like with the drill of the month, or somebody else's monthly project, maybe with a tactical quiz or something.
Well, you could take it even a step further. If you're talking about rotating the months out, and pick 1 month out of the year that everybody that is in on that level of perk goes into, say, a drawing, and then instead of, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a channel.
Yeah, they pick it. Like
they get to say, hey, G, here's my design. I want you to make this.
Oh, I was going to say they get to pick the channel, but if they get to pick the patch, or they could hand it, or they could say, yeah, I want it to be, I'm not going to make you have to talk to Angelina if you want butt patches or something weird, but
right.
If it's a gun patch, yeah, I'm down. That'd be kind of neat. And then that way everybody in the running gets a chance, and it could be anybody's patch. That's kind of cool. Right. I really, really, really want a patch of the month thing going somewhere. I think that'd be the coolest beans ever.
Well, I had a deal. I was trying to broker a deal. I haven't heard back from with that Mutiny shop. I talked to them at SHOT Show, and that's what they were going to do. They were going to do for me where, in the way those patches are done, they can do one-offs, right? But they were going to do.
This is like your first square.
Yeah, the square one. Yeah. And so what we had worked out, and like I said, I don't know what happened. I got to try to follow up with them and figure something out, because they kind of fell off the planet. But what they were going to do was because I do my tier drawings, the random drawings every month. And with one of them, I give away, like 3 patches or something like that. And so I've been trying to find somebody that does patches to partner with, right? To kind of facilitate that the same way that High Caliber Targets does the steel target every month. And they seem to be on board. And what they were going to do, which was really cool, was like, okay, you draw the winner, whoever it is, you put them in contact with us, and we will make them 5 patches of their choosing. And I thought that's where that idea came from. That I thought, wow, that's really neat, because they're not just getting a channels patch or whatever if they're out there and they support all these channels maybe, but they don't really do content or have a logo or anything like that. And it gives them a chance to actually, in their mind, they may have a design or an idea or something, and it would be cool to see, for them to see that realized in a patch would be kind of neat.
Or the power to point at whoever. Yeah. Like, hey, do Moon's one. Like somebody, like the Freedom Prize. He did a cool Freedom Prize one a long time. He did Desktop.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So yeah, somebody could go like, yeah, make that one happen. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
So getting back to real life, Pants is saying FPC Firearms Policy Coalition's injunction failed. GOA is still in the works, I think. See, I thought it was the other way around. I thought the GOAs had been denied, and that FPC's injunction was still potential, I guess, or still hadn't been called on. But either way, one of us is right and one of us is wrong. But it sounds like we all agree that one of them was still going. Like one of them had been shot down already, but the other one still had some legs. Pence is also saying that Mac just testified last week on that NFA thing. I didn't see anything about that. I know that he was in German SHOT Show or fucking Europe SHOT Show. I don't go to SHOT Show, but I'll go to German SHOT Show and make a big deal about it. Anyway, I don't think Mac could be on now. Let's see, go refresh over here. I don't know if anybody's even out there anymore. If there's anybody out there, I got nothing. I think we just put everybody to sleep. Because we let Night Strike talk.
What do you mean? You didn't let me talk at all, Harley.
Yeah, the FPC is the
Man,
one.
if we just keep talking, people fall asleep. We need to have Night Strike talk.
The FPC is the one that got denied.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't misconstrue. Just because they got denied, that doesn't mean they're not still fighting.
Oh yeah. It was just the injunction. Yeah.
Yeah. They're still gonna fight, tooth and nail. But it's just a setback.
Yeah. Yep.
Because these guys are serious about what they're doing.
To wake everybody up. Hey, better.
Seriously, last 40 minutes and 17-day long thing, and nobody's even showing up. So that's kind of sad. I'd like to see at least a couple of people show up for the last day.
Well,
everybody got the email, right?
I got the email. It worked this time.
So what do you think about other catalysts besides patches, hat pins, stickers? I really like stickers, but they're kind of flimsy, so I don't know how much the people would really want to be donating to the cause to appreciate, getting just a flat thing of an envelope with some stickers in it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of cool things that are out there. I mean, you've got the poker chips, for example. You've got dog tags. You've got
dog tags.
What am I thinking? Man, there's just so much. I mean,
poker chips like you and Ghost were using a while back.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah, I already said poker chips, and they're fairly reasonable.
Oh, have you guys thought about poker chips like you and Ghost had been using a while back?
I've got a good suggestion, and that's poker chips.
I went to look at poker chips. They're not like expensive, but they're not inexpensive either. They're okay if you want one, but if you're trying to get like a stack of them, they're insane.
Depends on where you get them. Ones I got weren't that bad.
I mean, if you're talking a nickel a piece, but if you're talking 50 cents,
no. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're trying to get a set of poker chips, good luck. You can get cheap sets of poker chips and they'll like stencil a letter on it or like Uncle Bob or something, but like, yeah, not what you guys
like.
You can buy those individually. They're almost like challenge coins. So Roy said, I like coins. I guess we kind of talked about this the other day. Coins are, I think, more, I don't know. I mean, they're a thing. They're valuable and they're easy to ship for sure. They're non-perishable. One size fits all. But the segment of the population that's interested in coins and that would appreciate them is small. And then once they own the coin, once they possess it, what kind of reach does that get? It's in their pocket or on their shelf or in a drawer. 99, almost like more than 99% of the time, right? Like it's barely ever coming out. And when it does, how many people are actually laying eyeballs on it? So I think that could be an incentive maybe, or like a tier. Like we didn't do anything like that, as far as like a lot of campaigns, they'll have like, the widget that they're making and maybe like a poster or like the blah, blah, blah. But then they'll have like the commemorative thing and there's only like 6 of them and they're like extremely expensive, but it's like literally you're buying like you're funding this thing. And this is just the little widget that they're saying thank you with, but then you make it more unique and more personalized, I guess, right?
I wonder if there is a company out there that does air fresheners.
Well, definitely. There are.
Like the pine tree, like you hang, because that could be cool because if you had 5 or 6 people involved in the project and you have the air freshener of their, whatever it was, logo, whatever it might be, then people could put that up and utilize it as an air freshener. And then when it runs out, they hang it on their safe or they're hang it, in their man cave or whatever, and then put up a fresh one. So they would have an ongoing supply of air fresheners for, a little while at least.
It's $2.29 on the East Coast, so I guess that's maybe why nobody's showing up.
Yeah, I'm about to head
maybe
out myself.
In the future. Yeah, go ahead, Night Strike. You want to stay up? You might want to in the future. I guess I'll have it end at like a reasonable hour. Huh? I'll have it I just didn't even pay attention to the time, but I think you can tell it the time, and I'll tell it like 5 p.m. instead of just whenever. I think you can set the time. I don't know. I've seen Benchmade did air fresheners. I have a Benchmade air freshener. Looks like I forget the name of the knife. It was, from whatever year that this one knife came out. It's like a sheep's foot blade. It's like an open knife, so it's like it's kind of like a cigar-sized air
Right.
freshener with the hole kind of between the blade and the handle, so it's balanced so that it hangs, in the middle. And that was a SHOT Show thing. They had them sitting there, air freshener, whatever it is, a big piece of cardboard or something with like the picture on it, and then cut out, and then in like a baggie. And then I know Hoppies makes an air freshener. It's like a novelty thing, but it literally smells like Hoppies. Have you seen that?
Interesting.
It literally, it's made by them, and it's in the shape of a jar, and it smells like it. So I don't know if it's a novelty, if people just really buy it, but that exists. So whatever that company is must make to spec, right? Because there's at least 2 that aren't trees,
Right.
that I have seen. And if Benchmade's doing it, that kind of gives you an idea of how much it must cost. I mean, it's not like, I don't think I've seen anybody really use those. I would think maybe like a camper place or like a camping place might use that as a promo item, but I don't think I've seen it at SHOT Show ever. And that might be something to it as an interesting thing, just because it's interesting. But as far as like a crowdfunding thing, you think people would back it to any significant level? Maybe
that I don't know. Yeah,
as a perk though, and it's certainly no expiration date for the most part, and flat, and not going to break in shipping. Georgia Trucker saying, how expensive are refrigerator magnets to put on gun safes? Actually, not very. I mean, it depends, but I've been playing with creating our own here. So we're actually about to add a bunch of them to the Gear website store. But as far as getting them made, I'll have to look into it. But I think there's something to say for that, because I got toolboxes. I have server cabinets. I don't know how many people have those, but there might be file cabinets or other office equipment that is metal, that's boring, and you look at it and it's just boring, flat surface. Magnets make that kind of stuff look cool. But yeah, I think those are, again, very patch-like, flat, a little bit more than just a sticker or an envelope or something too. And for FYI, people that are listening and interested, I sell a thing about the size of a business card. So it's a magnet on one side, and it's the hook side, or it's a loop side of Velcro on the other side. So I got this server cabinet here that's boring. I just stick all these little pieces of Velcro basically that are magnetic. So it's a business card size piece of magnet with the loop side of Velcro. And then that size of little patch panel that's magnetic will hold easily 6 patches. So I just put the corner of the patch on there and put all 6 of them kind of touching their corners onto that piece of Velcro, and it holds them all just fine. And it's as if I stuck them to the metal. And then that's an option too if you've got metal and you'd like to put patches up on it.
Right.
You can make those. I just buy the Velcro and the magnets in bulk and put them together and sell them on the site for pretty much what it would cost you if you went to the store and bought the same stuff I'm buying. And then you don't have to go buy $30 worth of Velcro and $30 worth of magnets. You get it at the price it would be if you paid bulk prices on both, instead of if you go to the store and just try to buy a thing, what do you call them? Business card magnets. They sell those at like 12 at a time, and then just buy some little strips of pre-cut Velcro. It's crazy. You get 6 or 8 of them, but you can trade like $10 or something. So it's kind of a ripoff. So I just buy them in bulk, put them together, and sell them at the store. So if anybody's interested.
Right. What about something like a set of tumblers, like plastic tumblers?
I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, definitely you're taking it to the level of 3-dimensional and having to have them made somewhere. If you could get them drop shipped out of the place, then you got potentially quality control. But I mean, if you can trust the place that's making them, or you've had stuff done with them before, or they're super, they're in business and they're doing it like professionally. I don't know. I would think that's something that's just inexpensively made, right? It's got to be like shirts, right? You decide what level of quality you want the glass to be, or the container, and then but those kind of things you could do on like Spreadshirt almost, right? Maybe not tumblers, but I think on like drink bottles. I think they have those over there.
Yeah, I think those are, a little more than I was thinking. Something like like fast food restaurants used to have crap like that, where you
and they weren't high dollar, cups or anything by any means, but they could, that's something that you could utilize, or you could line them up on a shelf and you could put your change in them, or you could put pins in them or whatever. No.
Well, relatively saying channel towels, you can never have enough towels. It's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Because you can get those inexpensively, and you can actually get decent stuff. When you buy it in bulk, you can get good stuff. Decent quality little towel or whatever, either like for sweat and washing your hands off, or like a parts towel, or like a
heck yeah, throw in the range bag or whatever.
Yeah, or gun towel. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Actually, what's neat about the towel idea is you could have everybody on there. That doesn't have to be singly branded, right? We could have a gun towel type of thing.
Yep. Right. Yep. Could be a single item thing. Absolutely. That's interesting.
Have it on Kleenexes. You could have like the lesser channels are on a Kleenex, and the better channels are on like a towel that can be washed and folded.
Okay. All right, now.
You're gonna have the lower class and the upper class. That way, you got some competition amongst the levels. Keep everybody fighting. Keep everybody growing.
Yeah, we're being discriminatory now. Watch it. Watch it.
Then the gun channel side is talking about the injunctions and whatnot. Dan says he's got a bunch of those Velcro magnets, so his refrigerator is now a patch panel. Right on. It's a lot to saying black powder for the freshener scent.
Yeah.
What do you think about hat pins? I don't wear a hat, and even if I did, I never use those hat pins because every once in a while I get beamed in the head, and then I don't want that hat pin smashing my skull.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I don't wear them either.
I get beamed in the head all the time, right? So there's no way I'm putting stuff like that on my hat, but I do grab them like a freaking magnet whenever I'm at SHOT Show, and I take that stupid thing that looks like an earring off the back, and I jam them into my safe. So I've got a billion of them jammed into my safe. I never look at them, and nobody else sees them except me and the dog. But I do have a bunch of them, and I do, like I say, I'll grab them whenever I'm within arm's reach. If I don't already have it, I'm grabbing it and I'm gonna jab it in my safe at some point. But I know a ton of people that put them on their hats, right? And then you could just as easily jam them into your headliner. Well, not everybody's going to do that, though. Some people probably don't want to jam stuff into their cars if there's an expensive car.
Right.
I know I could jam them into like what I got going on in the back of the van, where I have like the insulation with like a piece of carpet on the outside, so it's like a patch panel. I could definitely jam those pins into there.
Right.
But again, I don't know how many people are in that kind of situation where they've got, I don't know. But you think like just like shelves or something? Like back in the day when we were kids, we'd make our bars, like we'd have to have a bar whenever we moved to a new apartment. And we would just start taking the beer caps, bottle caps, and we just hammer them into wood everywhere. So eventually the bar would just look like a bunch of bottle caps.
Yep.
You could do that with those hat pins, stick them under your shelves in your reloading room or something, just smack them into the wooden shelf so that they become, kind of part of the decoration of the shelf.
Yep.
Or into some frame. You know how Sarge did the patch panel with the frame around it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that video? He could easily smash hat pins all into that wood, all around it, if you wanted that look. It would definitely look more tacky or like more busy, but that would work. Actually, that's kind of neat. You could do that, or you could do that. And you ever seen like a biscuit joiner where it cuts like it's like if you took an angle grinder and jammed it into the wood, it cuts like a little dome shape out of the wood. You take these little biscuits that look like flat footballs, and you put glue on there and you smush two pieces of wood together. If you took one of that grinder thing, or just an angle grinder, and you went to Sarge's frame and you just gouge that thing in every so often along the top, you'd create little areas, recesses where you could set challenge coins and they wouldn't fall off because they'd have that little rounded slot to fit into.
Yeah. Right.
So you could potentially take a thing like what Sarge did there, show off your patches in the middle, have your hat pins around the wood, and then your challenge coins up on top, and potentially around the edges too if you did something clever. That's kind of neat. But the other thing I don't like about the hat pins is nobody makes them here. I mean, it's bad enough we got to do some stuff out overseas. I don't like, depending on even more and more stuff, depending on either robots or slaves.
Right.
Slave robots. That's the worst kind of robots. If a robot's happy, he's not going to rebel. But if you give him a horrible work, right, he's going to get pissed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but that's it. And then so that part of it, and then I'm just as scared because, like I say, I got bad enough luck with patches. The decks of cards, knocking would have been okay, but I pay well for like the padded envelopes and all that. But you'd basically, I'm too cheap. I'd be conflicted. I'd want to jam that tiny little no weight hat pin into an envelope because it should cost $1 something, but because it would get smashed in the machines, you'd have to put it in a padded envelope, and that brings it up to $3. So I mean, those pins can't cost much. I've never bought them, but I mean, how much can a pin cost? Every time I see them, they're in giant bags of like 500. Yeah. So I think the minimum must be like $1 billion or something. So it can't cost much. But so you buy this thing, and then I don't know what hat pins cost, but nobody in the right mind's paying like $10 or $15 for one of those, right? They're more like a couple of bucks. So now you're paying. Well, anyway, I'm just saying the $3 worth of shipping that you would have to pay to insure them and have them in a big envelope just seems ridiculous to me for that little tiny thing.
Right.
Just because it's getting ate up, when you could do something with, like I was trying to say, something with paper or some sort of thing you could just stick in an envelope, and now your shipping goes down incrementally if you're trying to raise funds and stuff. I mean, if you're really just trying to get a hat pin out there, then who cares about the cost?
Right.
Sloth said tumblers are too much to post to AU. I'm guessing that means mail to the AU. We don't use that word. But I think for most of us, I don't know anybody, honestly, that's at a level where they have to to factor in international. All of my largest projects have had a few international, even with international effort done on marketing. Like with the cards and stuff, I don't care what country somebody buys those cards in, right? I just want to sell as many cards as possible so I can get them printed in as much quantity as I can, because that gets the price down. So it's always just been a few. So I can't imagine, maybe some of those really, really large channels would be able to get more international input or backing, and then whatever the again, that incremental or that additional cost of shipping could come into play. I don't know where we're at with money in the United States. We're not it's not like our money is worth more than everybody else's money. So some countries, $50 here is like a couple of bucks for them because their money's worth more than us. In other places, $50 here would be like a week's salary or a month's salary, right? So there's got to be some countries out there, besides Saudi Arabia or whatever, but there's got to be some countries out there where like $50 US is sort of a casual thing. And then, I think we're charging $7 or something more. I forget what we're charging for this international shipping. What do they care about $7? But if it was $20 item and $20 shipping, that might be enough to discourage them from participating.
Right.
46. So I'm going to refresh over here. We're still at 262. See what kind of guesses people had out there. Did anybody have 262 as a guess? We have a 271. We have a 265, 279, 275.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Night Strike was the most ambitious with his guess at 275. That was weird. I had to sneeze. So I was about to mute, and I was like ramping up. I was about 80-something% into like about to sneeze, and then a yawn came up out of nowhere and came up. So now I'm all...
I just run across something interesting, and you could put multiples on these, and that's the sunshades for like a car window.
That would be big to ship. you'd have to put it in one of them tubes like you put a poster in. So you're talking 11 probably, because I don't think you need the long one. I think it's 11 and 14 last time I shipped posters.
Yeah, and you'd have to buy those, and you'd have to, yeah.
Unless there's like you might be able to get like that bag I use, that big, that kind of plastic with bubble wrap. I bet you could source a long bag that would fit it, and then not ship it as bulk or what's it, fixed rate. Just ship it as an item, because the thing is, because of that weight would be nothing. It really wouldn't be that bad. It would probably be comparable, $3 or $4 to ship, I'm guessing, because even with regular rates, since it's basically hollow paper, you know, it's not going to win.
Well, there's pretty cool knife options and stuff too.
I really like that one. I forgot who brought that one up yesterday. I think that
I'm looking at, here's one. I'm looking at one here that is. Have you seen those the credit card multi tools?
Okay, I was going to say the folding knife thing, but you're talking more like where you take a piece of metal and you cut out shapes to be like wrenches and bottle opener or whatever. Yeah. I've seen them, but I don't know if you're talking like the ones I've seen are mostly probably made by the billion out of China and then sold at gun shows for like $1 a piece or something.
Yeah, right.
But something like a unique one would be super neat. We definitely have enough machines in this country that somebody out there could CNC, you know, the pattern to make something neat, have a G or whatever your logo in there.
Right.
And actually, it's kind of neat, especially if you did it with like some thought. You did it with like the size screwdrivers and like the 2 corners where you can get a screwdriver into a card. You know, did it with screwdrivers that actually, you know, were the reasonable size for the kind of stuff you might fiddle with on a gun, and then take one of the corners and make it like the equivalent of a little Glock tool. You know, that little punch that's just sort of a good size for working on most detents and pins and stuff. And then, a couple little things inside, like a sight tool or something. That'd be difficult. You'd have to kind of engineer that, but that by itself could be kind of a neat Indiegogo just to make a useful marketing item, or just a useful item, I guess.
Right.
Said gun channels just crashed. Yeah, in the middle of the nights like this is usually when they'll run their whatever they're doing, their different stuff. You know, we pay people to do all the little maintenance stuff and the defense and all that kind of stuff. So usually when they're purging their things or when they let their computers die off for a minute or restart.
I found what we need to do. 1 ounce custom molded chocolate bar.
Oh, I've thought seriously about that, but the problem is we got so many people in the heat. But yeah, that would be kind of neat, because you can definitely, especially again, we got so many machines and 3D printers and stuff. Like those chocolate people are not, their hands are not tied anymore. They can definitely do some neat stuff.
Right.
I'm sure anything we can do in a challenge coin, right? They can do to chocolate.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's literally the same molds, I'm sure. Well, not the same molds, but you know, the same machine makes the same molds.
Right.
And
right.
we're at 10
especially, I mean, you could, when you're talking, somebody said something about coins earlier. Yeah, hell, you could do chocolate coins, you know.
I know at least one guy would be interested in that.
That could be, yeah, right. I think we all do.
Just do the link out there again. We're 10 minutes up. It says 1 hour, but I'm guessing it's just going to say 1 hour. That's not going to switch to minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're at 262. Anybody that wants to get a last one in there, remembering that Artisan Tony's going to reimburse 2 of those people, so you got a 2% chance. No, not even 1.3% chance or something like that. I don't know. Whatever the math is, you get some percent chance of getting reimbursed by Artisan Tony's 2A fund. You've got, if you've been reposting it and using Ghosts and Clover's procedure over on their Instagram, then you have the chance of winning the additional batch set, I should say, that was donated by David M., who brought a batch, but it was not interested and it wasn't able, didn't want to have us send it, so he donated it to the cause. And then we have a set of the We Like Shooting patches donated to the cause. So that's a set of the Meal Team 6 and the Morale patch humorous fast food themed gun gun patches. And like Clover was saying earlier, they've got like the actual Burger King guy, Ronald McDonald, what is his name, Colonel Sanders, Jack in the Box guy, the little Chihuahua, and Wendy, like all holding guns or grenades or doing stuff. But then they've got their like the operator guy, the Burger King guy is Snake Plissken, and Ronald McDonald turns into some like operator looking guy, and Colonel Sanders turns into like a full bird colonel and like a military thing. And so it's a set of like morale patches that are funny, and then another set of them that are kind of mirrored but then militarized, and kind of a neat multi-angled or multi-layered kind of themed set. Anyway, it's neat, and it's valued at $100-something. They donated it to the concept, and Clover and Ghost decided to send that out to someone who's already participating in the project. So that'll go out per their procedures. So anybody that wants to jump in, you've got a little bit of extra spice on the worm. Wait, what the hell did they eat that spice in Dune? Did they eat it, or was it like a drugs?
What are you talking about?
I was trying to say the spice from Dune, but I don't remember what they did with the spice. I know their eyes were blue, but I don't ever remember them ever doing anything with the spice. They were always just consumed with the damn spice. Or was it just in the air? I guess I can't remember. Like,
I don't know.
I was trying to say spice it up, and then I was like, I'm going to try to end it with something. But
wasn't it like a? I don't know. Wasn't it like a currency or something?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like the most expensive thing, and the people who had control of it owned the universe or whatever. I just don't remember if they drank it or if I don't remember them like doing it as a drug all the time or anything. So I think it might have just, I don't really remember. Anyway, I was trying to make a joke, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Guy is saying, I love dark chocolate. Caffeine fiend. I like dark chocolate a lot also. Although not as much as just all chocolates. Wouldn't reach for dark chocolate first. I will eat dark chocolate.
Yeah, dark chocolate it pairs better with stuff.
Yeah, like with coffee? Yeah, definitely. With something else that's sweet? Okay. But just like, hey, eat this big bar of dark chocolate?
Right.
Not really.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Contact spicing? That could have been it. Although now spice is legal recreationally in so many states that you never know where those worms are from. So let's see, we're at, and all the people that don't know what the hell we're talking about definitely have no idea what we're talking about at this point.
Right. Yeah,
that's a book from the olden days. I don't know if it was a book or like a series. I think it was just like one book the size of a Bible. It was a huge, huge book, right? And turned into like a 2 or 3 or 4 hour movie or something. And it's called Dune. Hasn't moved. It's 2:62. So it looks like we've got just a few minutes. I could have sworn this thing gets down to staying like 26 minutes or something.
Apparently not.
Yeah. So again, we'll learn one thing is not to have it end at 2 o'clock in the morning for half of the participants.
Right.
And I think we'll, do it probably at a 20-day, so it's 17. I don't think there's any reason to do 30, honestly, unless everybody gets together and really decides 30.
Yeah, if it ended at the very latest, like on the West Coast, it ended at midnight on the West Coast would be, or well, it is ended. It's on the East Coast. Yeah, I'm backwards.
That's interesting. If you're on the East Coast, refresh and let me know. Does it say it's ended? Maybe it has ended for some people. That would be weird. I assumed it's going to end all at once.
No, I'm Central, and it shows. Let's see where it's going. It still shows an hour. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's apparently it doesn't count down.
Yeah, and that also means that it's like even though it was told what is today, the 13th, it's technically the 14th for you. Yeah. It didn't end on the 13th for you. So, but I'm saying as far as the campaign itself, 17 days worth of campaign this time around was adequate, but not enough. I think 20 days is enough. but because we'd have prior planning and a structure to it, that 20 days will be way more effective than the kind of sporadic efforts we were all able to kind of just randomly come up with this time, because we're all just kind of coming out of nowhere, and I threw it on everybody. So I think, again, I don't think we need 30 days. I think that's unreasonably long. If we kind of figure where a payday might be for some people, the 1st or the 15th, let's say, and then start it like right after a payday, and then try to hit at least a couple of paydays if possible, but not try to hit a whole month.
Right.
And then that way, because I don't think anybody wants to harp and harp and harp, give it enough time for people to be able to do it financially, and enough time for whatever system we got to actually happen, for us to do some kind of a structured meetups. Like I say, if we're pretty much everybody in here's either got a project where they do regular content, or they're trying to get the word out. So if, like for in this batch, if you and I and Ghost and Clover and Matt and Yankee would have each invited each of the others on, right there we had 6 videos. And if we just each rotated through, if we each had 6, then that's 36 videos that come out of this project. And if we had 20 days to do it, that might be every other day somebody's doing an interview. I don't know what it comes out to because it's late, but come up with some kind of a system. So it's a bit of an effort, but not a burden. And then, have a organized, is kind of a thought out to get as much content as we can out of the collaborations.
Right.
Because then you'd also have the potential to say, like, when I'm talking to Ghost, I'm going to talk about the industry angle of my thing. When I'm talking to Clover, I'm going to talk about the 2A angle of it. And when I talk to Yankee, I'm going to talk about the future. So like you could, and obviously Yankee's not going to interview anybody, but what I mean? If we have people in there that are from the creation side and people that are from something else, then we can take advantage of whatever we come up with so that it all contributes, so that there's very little repetition. It all creates a bigger and bigger picture, and then there's a reason for people to watch everybody's piece. Anyway, I think we got some potential there. And then all of that would be, if we had a consistent, what do you call, oh, did it end? It doesn't say anything for, oh, it must have ended.
I'm refreshing.
Closed.
Let's see what happens.
262.
So.
Oh, I'm refreshing the wrong page. Getting all excited.
Nope.
262. So nobody had 262.
Nope. Everybody was optimistic.
Over seamless pants. All right. Well, thanks everybody for staying up and sticking with us through there. You never know. We could have had a big rush. Swedish Bikini Models jump in and join us. That's happened. But we had a successful campaign here. We will be able, I don't know, I guess I'll drink some coffee and start digging into some numbers and try to figure out some stuff, because I'm curious as all get out to see how it worked. And then we'll do everything we can to keep everybody in the loop as we get everybody's art together, send that stuff out. Stay tuned for some updates on, the final, what do you call them, prototypes, I guess. And then a couple of weeks after that, we'll be sending everything out to everybody. So I suspect everybody's cards are about to get charged for money. And thank you very much for that, your financial support, which, if you went someplace else, would either buy you 2 T-shirts, maybe. You'd probably be paying a little bit more than 50, honestly, with some shipping on there. And then if you went over to the Gear website store, I might buy you a deck of cards and 2 or 3 patches. But in this case, that $50 not only got you 12 patches, but it supported, it gave capital, it gave experience, and it gave, something to 12 different organizations. So it also created a process here that we'll all be able to use, those of us that are interested in continuing it. So you've made that possible. I believe that you're also responsible, the 262 people here and all the other people that helped share it. A whole bunch of people, 147 people shared it on the platform that hates our property and hates the rights that we cherish. And then 262 people, though, created a thing that's going to allow these groups to grow, and it allowed us to create a project that hopefully we'll be able to replicate and bring more and more organizations to this level. And as this first initial alumni, is it the alumni? No, what's the first? What do you call the first? There's a word for the first group of kids through something, through a school. Anyway, this first group, is going to learn and share, and that experience will help the next group of people involved to be, more efficient and more, make the project more useful for them. And then we'll have two people's experiences if we're able to do it a third time. And yeah, we'll be bringing 12, 24, 36 organizations to give them some more resource. Anyway, we're all talking to the choir at this point, and it's the middle of the night, so we put this one as a 2A win. I hope so. That's our goal. So thanks, Guy, for being out there. Relativity is still out there. Kinky might still be out there. Relativity is on the gun channel side also. Pants is out there, dropping the balloons and the confettis. Everybody, there's cake, buttermilk, icing on it under your chairs. Enjoy. Put there by Oprah earlier today. There was 10 one out of every 10 pieces of cake out there. It's underneath your chairs. Has keys to the car in your driveway. So that's also from Oprah. You're welcome. She's running for president. Let's get Oprah in there. Fight against who was he saying was going to run for president? Oh, Biden.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Clover, for joining me, because otherwise this would have been super frustrating by myself. And thanks to the people that didn't show up.
Mike was here a little while. Give him credit.
Yep, he was. And thanks to the people that feel like they got kicked out of this thing or didn't get in. It was not a popularity thing. It was not a recipe. So it was simply an initial push. So appreciate everybody's support and working together. That's really what it's all an effort in, right? And it went pretty smoothly. Well, hopefully that we'll see the rest of this happen. And wait a minute, tomorrow is Pi Day. It's Pi Day right now, since it's 12 o'clock for everybody. Nice. So happy Pi Day, everybody. There's also some pie underneath 3 out of 4 people's chairs. So congratulations.
A tiny pie.
Well, I'm going to go get me some tiny pie. So yeah, it's Pi Day. That's an excuse to go on Instagram and take a bunch of pictures of pie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, seriously, though, thanks, everybody. And stay tuned for what 2A for everyone, what Tony's going to be able to do with whatever gun streamer is going to come up with for a patch. And we'll see them hopefully raise some money and get some more interest over on the platform. Ghost, I can't even imagine how he's going to be able to use his at NRA and with the traveling he's going to be doing with the training.
Oh, yeah.
Gear Report having so many writers, that he's going to be able to have all of his writers. So they'll have them for pictures to have some consistency, some unity, right? Some uniformity to that project. Again, we're talking about a platform that, like gun channels, right? Like Gun Streamer to some extent, are creating places that you as a creator can actually get some return on your time and your investment in your effort, into your craft, so into your projects. So Gear Report is not just a place to go look, but it's also a place as creators that you can actually get some return. And we're talking financial return, we're talking respectability and credential, we're talking an archive on a valid platform. So what am I trying to say? A library of your stuff, a resume, I guess is the word I was looking for. So I think Gear Report is an awesome project. He's not here by accident. He's an awesome dude and a bunch of people with a working system. And Clover can tell you it's a system I was literally working on until I found that he was already kicking butt with it. But that's super valid. And we're not always into guns, and we're never going to get some antis on board if we only talk about guns. So what better to talk about than what we like to do outdoors? So Gear Report, it'd be interesting to see, again, how he's going to be able to use a patch with all of his resources and writers and people that he works with. GunTube, right? We don't know what Mike's going to do with them, but hopefully we'll see a bigger, better GunTube out of this. And whatever the next projects come along, they'll see either that they can work with us, or that they can emulate what we did, or what we, not step into the holes that we stepped in. And, hopefully other platforms like Gunstreamer and GunTube and Gear Report will gain from this. We got Clover, and again, what am I going to say? Clover's a good dude. He's knowledgeable, and he's willing to share that and encourage other people. So, I'm in the pocket of Big Clover, I guess.
Right.
We got Yuta doing his printing and his advocacy and his activism, and again, bringing a different view to us as a writer of introduction to guns books for children. So introduction to guns, different than a lot of us who grew up with them or are way past that, to children. So, depending on how old your kids are, if you even have kids, or, when your kids, or if your kids even got introduced to guns, or, so, he's dealing with stuff that at least most of us on gun channels and in the YouTube community are not focused on. Being an author, he's dealing with a method of medium of creation of content that's totally different. You can bring all kinds of insight from that. And then just being kind of newer to guns than a lot of people. He's able to bring in that experience as an adult getting into guns, and not just the experience of the guns and the tech and the gear, but as an individual, he was just a regular dude living his life, and then at some point decided, I'm going to become a gun owner, and then a Second Amendment advocate to the level he is. I think there's a lot of inspiration there. I think there's a lot of stuff we can gain from his whatever spurred him, whatever got him motivated to do this. And then again, seems to be very willing to share his successes and failures and the actual how-tos, which is important because, again, all of us are just regular people that something spurred us to start doing something. That's what this is all about, sharing the tips and skills and tricks and tools that we use for all this so that we can all be better at it. Then you got Tony and the 2A Fund, funding the projects like all of these in a different way than the typical established stuff. And then Never Enough Ammo and Matt, or Never Enough Ammo and Yankee, two fairly large YouTubers and live commenters on Second Amendment and gun-related stuff, and really two of the anchors for this project, able to bring their reach and their numbers to it, the size of their channel. Even if the human beings that they talked to when they suggested people check this out, because they link to it on their huge platforms, that has significance when we talk about how the internet works and the reciprocal links and stuff. So having channels that are willing to participate in something like this and not expect anything in return other than to be happy that they're able to be participating in it is critically valuable. It's definitely, and it's useful as insight to all these organizations so that they know what's valuable to, and what is and what isn't valuable for their time. So let's say they don't spend a bunch of time trying to suck up to somebody when they find out it's not necessary. They can find out this way that it's maybe not necessary. Or if it is necessary to do something, they don't blow a relationship that they might have otherwise on a frivolous issue, knowing that there's greater good that can be had by working together with somebody, and maybe being able to take that knowledge to the next generation or the next level or the next state over, right? So the idea here is that we're all sharing these things, so we're all learning together, and we'll ideally share this stuff. And then I guess we'll wrap it up with Florida Carry, state level organization, and again, working in a different way. They didn't work as much in this project as we would have liked, but that's part of the project, I guess. If everybody worked together perfectly, we'd be in some kind of weird communist thing or in a dream. So if it was 100% smooth, I'd be questioning it. Something's up, right? So we'll learn how to communicate with groups that are not online every day and aren't, whatever, in the live conversations all the time, because it's, I guess, trying to go against the echo chamber concept, or get outside of our cliques and groups and normal, it's a word, I guess, friends that we hang out with, or normal people in the conversations.
Right.
So, and speaking of that, whoever that guy is from Pennsylvania that Matt was talking about earlier, Guns and Gadgets, guy who does the periodic, he does the updates on gun
Budget?
issues. No, not the. He's not on gun channels. He's a guy from Gun Streamer.
Oh, Guns and Gadgets, probably, yeah. That sounds
He's
right.
a cop from like Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
I mean, even if he's not on gun channels, like that's no requirement. Half these people weren't on gun channel. Well, I guess not half of them. A couple of them weren't on gun channels, but he's doing something interesting. And again, if he can use the knowledge and the stuff, then maybe that's somebody worth talking to. Liberty Doll. I don't know if anybody's ever talked to her before, but she's obviously taken you saw her Patreon post before they made it impossible to feed anybody else's Patreon posts. That she's
I'm a patron, so I get it through email. But yeah.
Okay, so you saw the one where she was like deliberating on whether or not to go more full time or not with the.
Yeah, it looks like she's probably gonna move into more full time. Yeah, I've actually emailed back and forth with her on that because obviously with what I know, educated on the platform and stuff like that. I mean, I had some insight to offer things that she needed to be mindful of and consider and things like that. I didn't want her to, and she does her homework, so it was kind of silly of me to do that. But I think it may have gave her a little bit of direction, and maybe she won't have to do as much homework now. But
we know how you men are, always looking for.
Yeah, man, I had to mansplain everything to her. Yeah, it's
But no, seriously.
But yeah, it's
effort. She'd be like, it'd be awesome if we could get her something that would allow her to do what she's doing.
I've had the conversation with her, and she's not a gun person. She's all about rights and the political end and the Second Amendment.
But
let me follow up on that by saying, because I've had this conversation with her. It's because of where she lives, is what she says. She's like, I don't have the opportunity to shoot X, Y, and Z because you can't have them here. So I don't have any experience with those because I can't. And, she's like, that's my, she's fairly intimidated. I don't want to say intimidated because she's a pretty strong person. I don't think she gets intimidated. So that's not the right word. But because she's behind enemy lines like that, and she has limited access, right, to stuff to get hands on and look at and all of that stuff. I think that's what she was getting at. That really restricts a lot of her geekiness, I guess, when it comes to firearms. And so that she alluded to the fact that kind of worries her in a way of getting more and more involved with the firearm, with the 2A side of things very much, is because of the way that her knowledge on that stuff is limited. And I tried to reassure her with that. I was like, look, there's a lot of horrible people, in our community, obviously, just like every one of them that, but the vast majority of people, I told her, in our community, I said, and I mentioned gun channels, and I mentioned a bunch of other things. And I said, the vast majority, though, we're very welcoming to people that need the education, that don't understand or don't know the mechanics and the parts and how they operate with each other and all that kind of stuff. I said, and the thing is, not only are we welcoming to people that need that education, we love talking about that stuff. So it's a win-win for us. We get to hopefully help you learn something, and we have fun talking guns in the process. So, I mean, hopefully we see her. I would like to see her step up and take a little bigger role in our community than what she does currently. And I think there's been some talk about potentially her moving. And I think that'll be a really big catalyst if that ever happens. And I can't speak for her, and I don't want to put out the whole details of all of that kind of stuff. But if she ends up potentially moving to a more free state, it's going to be interesting to see how she progresses and what comes from her.
Well, you're talking like as a channel, but I mean, I guess I'm thinking of the patch batch or whatever, and a 2A. I mean, that's definitely the kind of.
I think she would be. I think she would probably be down with the patch batch. Yeah. I'm sorry, I kind of went off into a tangent about her and who she was in case.
No, I could totally understand. I get excited talking about her too because she is freaking awesome. She's one of the best like outreach we got. Her and Cheryl are like peas in a pod, right? Freaking yeah. Can't have enough.
Yeah, she's got a very good screen presence, very good delivery. She's made a lot of speeches and stuff too, so she's used to that sort of thing apparently. But yeah, very well spoken. Does her homework. That's the big thing. Does her homework.
Talk about a role model. Holy moly. Like that's a channel right there. That's a legit project right there.
Yeah. So I think she's got what it takes to put her day job on the back burner a little bit. She's not going to quit. Didn't say she was going to quit completely, but
when I started reading that long paragraphs and paragraphs, and I was like, oh man, she's going to say she's quitting. And then she part where she's like, but I'm gonna, and I'm like, this is what we need. Can you imagine 2020 without her insight? She's going to be able to clearly state so many things that it's such a useful resource. That's going to be awesome. I'm so glad she made that decision.
Yeah, I think so. It's exciting to see what she's going to be doing in the future. So I've got to get her on the podcast before she blows up much more than she already has. If I don't, I won't never have her on. She'll be too good.
That's part of the success. We're already counting our chickens before they're hatched, but that's me and Clover are going to do that. That's what we're trying to do, is get more and more people involved and more people aware. And
there's nothing wrong with being positive and optimistic about things, and I think our community is riddled with people that are entirely too negative, and you don't go anywhere. You don't get anywhere positive by focusing on negativity. It doesn't work that way.
But success can diminish that, right? Light and winning. And thanks everyone. 262 plus people helped.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Successful thing, and nobody can suggest that this wasn't successful. So yeah, it was
absolutely. It was more than successful.
An effort towards an effort towards our what's the word? Resisting the apathy and resisting the apathy. Pessimism.
How can you, and there was some, I don't want to say there was some pessimism, but when the project first started, there were some people, even, I won't name names or anything else, but there was some people involved, and there was some worry, I guess is what it was, that are we going to be able to meet this goal, and make this happen?
It's not an insignificant goal. They were,
and we know exactly. And not only did we do it, but 26% on top of it. So think about anything. Think about your package of M&Ms or your breakfast cereal or whatever. It says 25% more. I mean, that's a win. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll take it.
With that, I think we'll wrap it up. Thanks everybody for sticking around and the thumbs. And we'll be back tomorrow with the Daily Gun Show on regular scheduled time. And again, we'll have some updates for the art. We'll have some updates as they get produced, and then we'll have some future updates as months down the road, as we kind of talk about what the long-term consequences were of these whatever our efforts here. Till next time.